Hello, everybody out there, and hello, Facebook land, and hello, YouTube. And also, welcome to another episode of Black Spinner Podcast. And today we have Al Horta from Be Cool or Be Podcast Out.
Hey, how are you?
And we also have Brad Daw from Yarg Metal.
Hey, guys and girl.
And we have the wonderful Kate Dore, who is with the International House of Vinyl. And tonight's episode, what we're going to be doing is that we are going to be ranking our top 15 live albums. And we chose 15 because live albums are special. So we went ahead and are going to do 15 of those instead of 10. We pushed it up to 15. So thank you all for joining us. But also, before we start, we haven't been on since the untimely death of Taylor Hawkins. So we're going to go around and talk about our favorite Foo Fighters album before we get going. Al, what's your favorite?
Oh, well, ironically, it's actually an album that Taylor is not on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the Color and the Shape, their second album. I love the first two Foo Fighters album. The first one, this one. I like them. After this, they're still great. And they're still all. I'll say that my favorite with Taylor probably is Wasting Light. I would probably say that one. But this is like the absolute, I love this album, man. Like the power, the songs that they had on here. I mean, Everlong's a classic. My Hero's a classic. Monkey Wrench is a classic already. But then you got Hey Johnny Park is cool. Up in Arms, Wind Up. I mean, the whole album is really, I like it. I mean, but, I was really saddened by Taylor's death. I mean, 50, that's way too young. And, he was an integral part of that band now. I mean, even though he didn't start out with them, he's like one of the faces of that band. It's him and Dave. Whenever you think of Foo Fighters, it's those two. It's like a two-headed monster, out front. And I really feel bad for Dave, too. He lost his best friend. So
it's tough.
I don't know with the future of this band. I mean, if Dave folds it up or kind of just goes forward. And the scenario I see him doing, maybe from here on in, he'll probably do the drums on the albums and maybe just hire somebody to play live, I don't know. Yeah. I could see Stephen Perkins from Jane's Addiction kind of being a cool replacement, but again, it's going to be, you can't replace him. He was a character and great drummer and a great person too.
Yeah, so he was full of life for that.
Full of life, man. He loved what he did, man. I mean, he always had a smile on his face and kind of like Eddie Van Halen too, the same way, and I mean, his death is just out of nowhere. I mean, it shocked me when I saw it. So rest in peace, Taylor, man. Yep. Huge loss.
Brad, you want to mention one?
Well, I don't have a favorite album, but I will say that Taylor seemed like a totally good dude. Not only a great musician, but just a great guy and a true fan of rock music. I mean, you saw it in everything that he did. And I think Al said it best. He was always smiling. The dude was always having fun. So the world is certainly a little bit, well, it's not as great a place without him. So for sure. So,
Kate.
So I do love their first few albums. It's like their self-titled, Color and Shape, One by One. Those are all amazing. But I was gonna pick this one, Skin and Bones, which is a live one. But this is phenomenal. There's certain versions of their songs that are on here that just live, I feel like they're even better than the studio stuff. So, but yeah.
They were a great live band. I've seen them a couple times.
Yeah, I've seen them a couple times. Every time has been phenomenal. And they're just, I don't know, it's going to be so different. That's what I like. It's going to be hard to find a good stand-in because that brotherhood that they had together, especially Dave and Taylor's, it just breaks my heart for them, They played off each other. They could stand in for each other. they could switch up, the couple times that I saw him, they'd have Taylor come up and sing and Dave would go back on drums. And I can't remember the musician. I didn't really know who it was, but somebody like tweeted like the only guy you could ever see backing up Dave Grohl on drums is Taylor Hawkins. I was like, oh, that's really sweet. That's hard to beat Dave Grohl on drums. But yeah, it's just been a weird week. It's been a bummer kind of week. So this year has been another year. I feel like it was 2016 where all the musicians passed. Like a bunch of really cool, amazing people. Bowie, and like Lemmy died December of 15, and then Bowie and like
Didn't Prince die that year?
Prince, yeah, so many, and that's this year shaping up like that. It just is, because that was especially like I count them as grunge dudes because Dave obviously was in Nirvana, and then you have like them continuing on, and like Taylor Hawkins and the Screaming Trees. I cannot think of his name.
Mark Lanigan.
Yeah, Mark Lanigan. So it's like, I don't know. It just sucks. All those guys. There's not many of the grunge dudes left, which is super sad.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know. Skin and Bones is my favorite, just for how certain recordings of that are. They're really good.
Yeah, my favorite of theirs, and it has been since the first time I heard it, it's going to be Nothing Left to Lose. And in fact, this was the first one with Taylor Hawkins. This is their third album, and this is a special place in my heart. This was released in '99, and that's when I moved here to Houston. It was in '99, and I had this on CD. And on my days off, I would throw the CD on and get lost on the freeways of Houston. And always find my way around and learn how the freeways go. And it's a trip in these Houston freeways when you just go and really have nowhere to go. But this was in the CD player constantly. And that's why I picked it, because it really has a lot of great memories for me. A lot of times I was lost going, where the hell am I? How am I going to get back home? But yeah, this is a good one. And I remember that it... on the CD, they had the FF stick-on tattoos, so I had put on my forearms on there like for a week. But yeah, this was a really good album, and the first two albums are fantastic. But this was such a real turning point because their sound kind of changed on this album. There was a lot of more. It didn't change, but there was a lot of different types of music added. There were different tempos going on this album. And it's got songs like Stack the Actors, Breakout, Learn to Fly, Give Me Some Stitches, Next Year, Ain't It the Life, and it ends with MIA. This is a really good album. If you're not that familiar with this one, check it out. It's really good. It's
good. Lots of good music
Nothing Left to Lose.
Yeah, a lot of good music videos came out from that, because that being his first album, it's always such a hoot to watch them together.
Yeah, with different costumes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And right before we hit our top 15, Al, you went to a concert last night. You went to go see Queensryche and Judas Priest. How was that?
Oh, it was great, man. I went to see them here in New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey, Prudential Center, and Queensryche got on right at 7:30. They played almost a solid hour, and Tyler Torrey sounded great. I mean, he was just killing it on all the high notes and all that stuff, man. I mean, he's a great vocalist, man. He can definitely pull off a good Jeff Tate. That's for damn sure. And they played like all the old classics, man. Like they were like really there for the metal crowd. They played their metal stuff. So Judas Priest was great, man. I mean, Rob sounded great. The whole band sounded great. Glenn Tipton came out at the end and did 3 songs on the encore.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he did Metal Gods, Breaking the Law, and Living After Midnight. And they sounded awesome, man. And they were loud too. I mean, I'm glad I bought my earplugs. I wouldn't have been able to hear you tonight. So my hearing is saved, thank God.
Yeah.
But yeah, they Brad, did you see them recently?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know how many weeks ago it was
It
now.
was a couple weeks ago when
So-
I saw them.
That was
hoping
kinda
the
cool,
sound
like-
was better at the show you were at than the one I was at, which Queensryche their sound was awful. Judas Priest, you could hear what they were playing, but Queensryche was just so distorted.
Nah, it sounds like they had the sound dialed in here. It sounded
good.
It sounded good. I actually have both their sets up on my YouTube channel if you guys want to check it out.
Yeah.
And I mean, sounds great. And I mean, one of the surprises was here in Rock-a-Rolla. They played that, and I was like, "Wow, I never heard that one."
What? Going way back.
Yeah.
First album.
They,
Yeah, I
they
mean,
probably
they
haven't
really
played it since their first couple of years.
Yeah.
So
I
I don't know.
remember-
I kind of felt like the show started taking off at that point. I don't know. I felt like it really hit a groove because you had that and Victim of Changes, and then it just, I don't know, it kind of seemed to raise the level of everything. But I really thought they were great.
The set list was great, and they were awesome. Yeah, so anybody
Halford's
who's out there
still,
that's on the fence and seeing them, I suggest seeing them
Yeah.
soon because you never know how much they have left. So
No.
Halford's gonna be 70 this year, and he's
Yeah.
still such a murderer at live shows. His
Yeah.
voice is still phenomenal.
I feel like his
He's
voice
so
is
good.
better. I feel like his voice is better on this tour than the last tour I saw him
Yeah.
like 3 years ago.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
I
think
also-
2019
saw him at
was the last
the-
time I saw him.
Well, yeah, I saw them
Yeah.
with Saxon at the Prudential Center, but then after that, I think I saw them at they played with Deep Purple. I think.
Purple.
Yeah,
That's the tour that I saw. Yeah.
But I feel like
Yeah.
Rob's vocals are better at this tour. He
Yeah.
looks like he may have adjusted some things or something, and he's doing great, man. I mean, listen, can he hit the high note like in Victim of Change like he used to? No, but it's not to be.
Pretty
come on,
close.
he set the
He
bar
went
so
for it.
high that
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah, he
I
went
give,
for it.
I give him a pass, man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
All right.
He's moving around too, which
yeah, more than he used to.
yeah.
He
Instead of
doesn't
just
come
standing
in
one
riding
place.
a motorcycle anymore, but he still
No,
does
he
it
did.
on stage.
He did. He
That's
did
what I saw
last
him
night.
last. He
When he did.
had it roll out really slow.
Yeah. Yeah, they did Hell Bound for
Yeah.
Leather, and he came out on the bike.
I love
So.
it.
That's awesome.
I love all the costume changes Halford will do. Like, oh, I gotta switch leathers for this part.
They changed leathers. I gotta go from black to red. But I was reading an article, I think it was yesterday. I don't know if y'all caught this, but that KK Downing has been requesting to be part of the band again, and they're not replying to him.
Yeah, that's been ongoing. That's been
Ongoing
for
thing?
years now. Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah.
I think mainly. I think really it's like Rob Halford doesn't want him back in.
Really?
I think that's the main. I think that's the main guy that really is preventing him from coming back in. Well, listen, I don't know, man. I mean, there's two sides to every story.
Yeah.
You know, KK's exit wasn't. He wrote them 2 letters, and one was a scathing letter to them.
Yeah.
You know, and then now he wants back in. I mean, you know, you're not getting any younger. I mean, it'd kind of be cool for him to come back, but you know, we don't know the inner workings of a band. I mean, it's like a relationship.
Yeah.
You know, that's just up to them, man.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I don't want to turn this into a rumor kind of thing or,
Yeah.
you know, throwing mud or shade. I just read about it.
No.
And I
We can
thought
all,
it was
hey,
pretty
listen,
interesting.
as fans, we all speculate and we want to see, like, you know, our classic bands
Our heroes.
be
Yeah.
together. But, you know, hey, listen,
Yeah.
not all relationships last, man. You know?
But I wonder when Halford was out on the outs with them and when he wasn't in the band, like, there's probably a lot of hurt feelings. You wonder, like,
Yeah.
who was the cause, you know, who was the person who really
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw a fight
started that.
actually
Yeah.
once.
Did you saw Fight?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was probably cool.
Yeah.
Dude, that was crazy. Yeah. It was like because the sound was kind of industrial, but it was also metal at the same time. It was odd, that kind of mixture.
I feel like
they
Fight
had.
was like kind of, it was like his Pantera. Like it was kind of that style.
Yeah, it's kind of different.
Yeah. So it was like very similar to Pantera.
Yep. All right, guys, let's get started with our live albums, our top 15 of our favorite live albums we'll go Kate, Brad, and Al and me. We'll go this way.
Ooh,
We'll go
I'm on
counter.
Mark.
Wow.
Okay.
So Kate, you're up to bat.
So this was a tough call because
Number
there's so many
15.
good live albums. I went with BOC, Some Enchanted Evening.
Great one.
This killer, obviously, a bunch of amazing songs, phenomenal cover art. It was a tie between this and Supertramp Live in Paris. I love that a lot. So that's one of my shout outs. But that, yeah, I don't know. That is so good. I've listened to that a lot.
Great album.
Yeah.
That's a great pick.
Yeah.
That's a great pick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. That's a fantastic album, man. Blue Oyster Cult.
yeah. That
Can't
one's got a
go
lot of
wrong
good
there.
stuff on it. Godzilla on there. Don't Fear the Reaper on there. Those are so good. I don't know. So,
Wait,
Brad,
did you
what's your 15?
Wait, did you say Mirrors was on your version?
No. I have
Oh.
this one is Are You Ready to Rock?
Okay.
ETI, Astronomy.
ETI, man. I
Pick
love
out
that.
the jams, Godzilla, Don't Fear the Reaper, and We Got to Get Out of This Place. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they did a couple of covers on there that they did a very good job on.
yeah, I thought so too.
Kick out the jams, brothers and sisters, instead of the other line, brothers and sisters.
Yeah, that's a really good album. Good choice.
Brad,
All right, 15 for me. And by the way, my criteria for picking these albums was, and they're mostly going to be older albums because they're albums that I listen to the most, albums that I know like forward and backward, albums I had on vinyl, and I can tell you where all the pops and crackles are.
wow.
And when I listen to them now on CD, I'm like, oh, wait, it's missing something there. But so this first one is an artist that I was into in my very young days as a wee lad, and it's David Bowie, and it's David Live. That album,
Good one.
I think his voice is pretty hammered on this album, but it's I mean at that point in my life, I mean I was too young to go to concerts, and I tried to imagine what it would be like to be there, and I love the versions of almost every one of those songs. I think Change is a little bit weird, and that's maybe that certainly takes a back seat to the studio version, but I think the live versions of on this album are just fantastic. Great band. Everybody played their asses off, and by all accounts, a real live album, except for some of the backing vocals they had to redo because some of the mics weren't, according to the album sleeve, some of the mics weren't working so well there in Philadelphia. So they claim it's a real live album, and it sounds like it, and it sounds great. So there you go. David Live. Love it.
It's a good
Nice
one.
one. Al, number 15, what are you going to kick it off with?
Well, I'm gonna agree. You know, before I go into it, I'm gonna agree with Brad that these are albums that like I grew up on. I love like a lot more live albums now. Like, but I'm gonna pick the ones from my youth that really had an impact on me. These might not be the best live albums like on lists or whatever, but for me, they're the best. They're what I grew up on and what kind of shaped my love for music and stuff. So, but my number 15 is going to be ultimately a live album that really was pretty much in everybody's collection, and that's Frampton Comes Alive. Yeah, dude. I mean, like everybody and their mother had this album, you know. But I mean, you know, there was a time when he got snickered out, I guess, a bit, becoming like kind of a teen idol kind of type of person. But I mean, when you put this album on now, it really is a great live album, man. He plays great on this. The song selection is great. I even have the expanded version as well, where they add like more songs to it. But yeah, I mean, you can't go. I mean, this is like one of the all-time classics, so you can't.
Yeah,
I mean, this is obviously one that should be in your collection. I mean, to be honest with you, if you're a music lover, you know, I mean, Frampton Comes Alive, number 15 for me.
good one. Yeah, that's a very famous one.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
that's just like how many. I mean, I don't even know how many millions that sold.
Yeah, I mean, he made him a worldwide superstar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
then he's down. But then he
without
had
that album, you probably wouldn't still be hearing Peter Frampton. So
exactly, yeah.
Probably not. That's like every collection I buy. It's like every other one will have a copy of that.
But there's another live album that he's on that I like better that'll be later on my list. I'm sure you guys know it.
Interesting.
Yeah, made my list too.
Yeah.
My number 15. You know, I'm from Texas. Since y'all know, because I have to mention that every episode. But Willie and the Family Live. I love Willie Nelson. This was my first Willie Nelson, so after I bought this one, I now own about 20 Willie Nelson on vinyls. There's the back of it, and his sister passed away recently, Bobby Nelson, who was a staple in his band throughout his whole career.
Amazing live piano player, and she's like 91. I saw them in 2019, and she was still killing it even then. So,
this is just classic Willie. It's got Whiskey River, Stay a Little Longer, Funny How Time Slips Away, and of course we all know that he wrote Crazy. So here's his version of Crazy. Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys. Bloody Mary Morning, love that song. I just got on a plane to fly to Houston, and it's got a whole medley of The Red-Headed Stranger, which was a whole album from '73. It's purely acoustic mainly, and it's a concept album. And I know when people say, "Oh, well, this is a concept album," and you try to listen, try to follow a story, you can't. Well, The Red-Headed Story, it can't be nothing but a great story being told. And this is great. He does Take This Job and Shove It, which was a big hit at that time.
Johnny Paycheck.
You know, and he does it with Johnny Paycheck as well. So that's my number 15, Willie and the Family Live. I've seen them I don't know how many times. They would have Willie family picnics, and we would go and just watch them play. And this song list has not changed from his live set, like, at all since this time. It's always stayed the same. So Willie Nelson's my number 15.
He's great. His boys play with him now too. Both of them are really good.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've listened to
and his boys are also in The Promise of the Real.
Yeah, Lucas Nelson. And then they have one, their other band's more like industrial, that's a little weirder, that's Insects versus Robots. That one's cool. Yeah, that one's a good one to check out.
And The Promise of the Real, they've recorded 3 albums with Neil Young as well. And
they call him Uncle Neil because they were his touring band.
Yeah, between 2013 and 2016, they've done about 3 albums with him.
Yeah,
taking place of Crazy Horse for just about for that little time period. But yeah, I mean, they're a great family that have contributed a lot to music.
Talented.
Yeah. Kate, what's your number 14?
So I went with, I don't know where my copy of it is, but I went with Duke Ellington at Newport. And I love jazz. I love Duke Ellington. This one, I don't know. He just shines on this. Like, I like a lot of his studio stuff in that, but Ellington live at Newport. The OG I have is like a Columbia 6i. I don't know if you guys have any of those, but those pressings are always phenomenal. Like, it's just anything on 6i sounds amazing to this day, which is really cool in my mind. He's got so many good stuff, so many good songs on here. But Take the A Train probably is like one of the top ones in my.
Wow, that's an interesting choice.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. That's why the show is great. So many different things going on.
Who plays bass on that?
Okay. Ooh, I don't know. I don't know where my copy is. I have like a mess. Okay. Usually I'm better organized, but since I started selling stuff, it's chaos. So yeah, I'd have to look it up, but it's a great live one, definitely.
All right. So number 14 for me.
14.
Yeah.
Features Peter Frampton. And it's not Frampton Comes Alive. It's Humble Pie rocking the Fillmore. This album, the very first time that I heard this coming from outside of my brother's room, I went running in there and I'm like, this is like the coolest thing I've ever heard. Just the first two songs, they just slay. I mean, they're just screaming of rock and roll, man. It's like this. I was like, that's what I want to do.
4-Day Creep, man.
Yeah, and plus just the production on it, it just sounds so cool. I mean, everything just sounds so real. The drums, the guitars, the bass. I also like that they did this on a lot of songs where each of the three guys that sang would take a verse. So you'd usually get the bass player would sing one, and then Peter would sing one, and then Steve Marriott would come in and go, okay, I'm going to show you boys how to do it. And he'd sing the third verse. And if you want to know what rock is, you need to get that album. The only reason it didn't make the top 5 for me, a couple of those songs on there, which are cool, but they're 20 minutes long, or at least they feel like they're 20 minutes long. It's kind of like, okay, we need more songs and less, but they're still really cool. I mean, really cool stuff. And I did buy the expanded set, which was every show that they played in that series, and it's kind of cool to hear the differences from night to night. They didn't do the same set every night, and also because there's a lot of jamming going on, the performances were not exactly the same, and a lot of the in-between song banter it's all in there on the expanded one. So it's very cool stuff. They just seem like they're really having a great time, and I wish I could have been there.
Yeah, the atmosphere of that album is like really, it's like you feel like, when you listen to it, you feel like you're there,
Yes. Yeah, that second song where the drums just take off. I mean, it's just, and you can hear everybody clapping.
Yeah.
You're just like, you feel like you're there. You really do. But the funny thing is also in between songs, it's really quiet for the most part. It only sounds like there's maybe 15 people there. I don't know if that was just the audiences back then were kind of laid back and, maybe a little too stoned. I don't know. But it's not like what we're going to see in one of the live albums I'm going to talk about later. So, yeah, interesting. Right. Now,
I've never given that band a try, but I learned so much from y'all. I'm going to.
If you're going to try, get that live album. Man.
Yeah, start with that.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, the first two songs, if you're not in by the first two songs, you're not going to get in.
Then you won't like it.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I have a copy of that. If I find it, I'll send it to you because I got your other one I got to send you.
I think 4-Day Creep, man, if that doesn't grab you right off the bat, because that song just fucking rocks, man.
Yep. Yep. And that is such a fun song to play, too. I played it in a band once, and it was just like, this is the real deal. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'll probably stream that tonight. If there's not others that I'm going to learn about tonight, that I'm going to throw on there. But thanks, because I learned a new one. Number 14.
Well, my number 14, Pat Travers, Go For What You Know, man. This live album kicks ass, man. I mean, you have a rhythm section like Tommy Aldridge and Morris Cowling. Forget it, man. Right off the bat, that's a kick-ass rhythm section. And then, you got Pat Thrall and Pat Travers, man, trading off each other. It's a single live album. I feel like it should be longer. But, I mean, what you get on here, it's the gut punch and they're out, man, So, I mean, Hooked on Music, Getting Better, Boom, Boom, Out Go the Lights. That's like the hit off of this. Making Magic, Heat in the Street. I mean, this album just like, you want to hear kick-ass guitar playing and bass playing and drumming. I mean, Tommy Aldridge just fucking kicks ass, man, on here. Pat Travers, live, Go For What You Know. That's all I got to say about it. Get it if you don't have it. Yeah. My number 14.
I love Pat Travers. I saw him probably a couple of years ago before COVID really hit.
Me too. Saw him twice.
Yeah, and And not just that, he's a really funny guy on stage, and he makes you feel very comfortable that he's not just a rock star up there. He really brings the crowd in, and you really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And Al, thank you so much for mentioning that album, because I wanted it to be in my top.
Good night, hon.
Top 15, but I couldn't squeeze it in there. I was just like, oh, this album, I've listened to that so much.
Well, I got it for you there. So
thanks for bringing that in for me. I was lucky to be able to see that version of Pat Travers.
Oh man, I'm jealous.
And yeah, I think they started off with little Susie. No, what's it? But yeah, and yeah, they had such a great chemistry on stage. And then Tommy Aldridge, oh my gosh, I mean, if you're a drummer, you need that album just to listen and to see him play that stuff, and what he's doing while he's playing that stuff is unbelievable. And you're right about Mars. Mars is a really weird bass player. He doesn't like play just bass, you know what I mean? He's like he just plays stuff that's like, what the hell is he doing? But it fits and it works, and he's got this weird tone. And it's funny, my band in the 80s, so when the very last gig we did, it was warming up for Pat Travers, and Mars had this huge stack amp, and I walked up to him, I said it's cool if I use your amp, right? And he's looked at me like, get out of here. I figured, what, it couldn't hurt, right? So I wheeled out my little Fender Combo 115-inch speaker, and I wheeled that out there in front of his amp, and I still gave it my best. Yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome. My number 14, I got on CD. My cat got into the cover while I had it out here, so he tore it up, but that's all right. This is a double album of the Counting Crows. Side one is VH1 Storytellers. There's one disc, and the second disc is MTV Live. If y'all remember those two shows in the late 90s. I'm a big Counting Crows fan. When they came out in the 90s, I was there from the beginning. I saw them once. I was pretty disappointed. So I hope I get to see them again, because it just didn't. Adam Derwitz and the band just weren't on sync on that night. So hopefully I get to see them. But I'm not too sure if you guys are Counting Crows fans, but this is usually most of these. Well, all of these are really taken for the first two albums, August and Everything After, and I'm Recovering the Satellite. Both albums were fantastic. So, and really after that, I kind of lost touch with them. But this is a double live album from both albums. So, you like melancholy and really good songwriting, and really Adam Derwitz really doesn't stick to the script. He adds his own lyrics here and there, and the songs go in different ways. So, pretty good stuff. I like them. So, Counting Crows is my number 14. It's called Jeez, I didn't even say what it was called. It's called Live Across the Wire. That's what it's called.
Cool, man.
All right, Kate, number 13.
So I'm going to pick this back up again. Going with that. Definitely one of my favorite lives. I already talked about it a little bit, but just so many songs that I really like the live version that's on there more than even the studio. So, yeah.
All right. Brad, number 13.
Okay, this is one that I'm sure Alf is familiar with. Him and I kind of are channeling some things here. Rush, All the World's a Stage. And the reason why I picked this over all the rest of their live albums is because it's the first one I got. I got 2112 when it first came out, and then got this because it came out right afterward. And before I even heard the first, 3 albums. So it kind of forced me to go back. But again, it's a live album. Geddy still, doing his thing. Just great set list. They're in their hometown. I mean, it's a fantastic album. So,
yeah,
there you go.
I'll comment on it later.
Also, well, I'll say one other thing too. Is before they made that transition to where there were pedals on the stage and all these other drum accoutrements and things. So, I mean, the music was just the three dudes playing their instruments pretty straight up,
nice and raw,
pretty rock. So that's the other reason that I love that album. So, all right, that's 13 for me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, 13 for me is going to be from the grunge era, and also the big MTV Unplugged phenomenon. But it's not the one that you think I'm going to pick. It's actually my favorite band out of that whole scene, and that's Alice in Chains Unplugged, signed by Mike Inez too.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, normally a lot of people would pick, Nirvana Unplugged, which rightfully so. It's a great Unplugged. Probably if I pick a Nirvana album, that's probably my favorite Nirvana album because I love the stripped down acoustic stuff that they do. But I gotta say, man, this one, it just it hits an emotion with me. It's, Lane Staley is in the throes of his addiction on this album. And yet for the performance that he delivers on here is nothing short of astounding. You could tell he's kind of struggling through the show, but still his voice is so powerful. And, with Jerry behind him and the harmonies as only they could do. I mean, that's why Alice in Chains is my favorite band out of that whole Seattle scene. I never even considered them grunge. They were a metal band, really. But, the lyrics were so dark and I don't know, man. Lane Staley was just, I mean, you could just feel his pain on here, and but I mean, acoustically, you could just, I mean, the emotion that comes through the music is just, you felt it, man. You felt what he was going through in a way, but I mean, out of all the Unplugs, this may very well be my favorite Unplugged of all time.
Yeah.
So. It's got to be here, number 13 for me. So I put that one in.
Yeah, that Alice in Chains Unplugged was fantastic. And that was I remember when that Jar of Flies came out. Man, I was in love with that EP. I mean, with Rotten Apples, and it just their songwriting was just so true and harrowing at the same time, But I mean, Alice in Chains, you're right. Well, when it came to the big four, to the grunge movement, they all had their own identity.
Yeah, that's what made it great.
Yeah, and the media or whatever try to group them together, but really they had their own genre, pretty much.
And they each had their own sound.
Their own personality
to them. Yeah, and a lot of those MTV Unplugged are so good, and that he's so raw on that, and you can hear it, like you said, you hear that.
That makes for I like to give Andy a little idea, man. That makes for a great episode too. Maybe pick your top Unplugs because there've been a lot of them.
There's so many,
and a lot of great ones. And there's some that not a lot of people remember, but they fell through the cracks. But when you go back and really.
Yeah.
Go through. I mean, a lot of people, so many bands did the Unplugged thing, and I mean, I'm just gonna throw one out here real quick. There was one. I'm being from New Jersey. I love the Smithereens, which was a New Jersey band. Mm-hmm. They did an Unplugged, which is amazing, and nobody ever talks about it.
I didn't even know that they did one.
Yeah, I mean, go on YouTube; it's on there. Marcus saying in the comments that Tesla kind of started the whole. Trend, which it's pretty true.
With 5-man acoustic jam.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we could do a whole episode top 10 Unplugs, man. That'd be great. So I'm just throwing that idea out to you.
There's so many good ones.
Great idea, yeah. And another good one was the Eric Clapton Unplugged. The way that he redid.
Well, that was a huge selling album for him, man.
Dude, that was so good. All right, we are at number
12, right?
12. I make it sound like we're already so far down the list. I'm gonna go with I really like this band. I've seen it once, and I was up on top on the rafters, and when I was looking down at the pit, it scared the shit out of me of what was going on down there. But no effects. This is a great double album. The name of this one's called They've Actually Gotten Worse Live. It's a double album.
Wait, that's what it's called? They've Actually Gotten Worse Live?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's the name of the album. They're a great punk band out of pop punk band. They are out of San Francisco. They've been around for a while. They've been around since like maybe the mid '80s is when they came out.
Mm-hmm.
They're on that label Epitaph, right?
They were on Epitaph, but pretty early they got on their own label called Fat Records, which is their own label, or Fat Records. It's FATW Rec Chords. Yeah, that's their label, and they've been on it for a while. But they broke off from Epitaph probably in the early '90s. Is when they broke off of that and formed their own. But they were one of the leaders in the Epitaph labels, along with Bad Religion, and when Offspring started off, I think it was also on Epitaph. All right.
Hey, Andy.
Yes.
I think you got cheated out of number 13.
Yeah, I think you skipped
That's where
one.
we were.
Yeah.
So, did you have a 13?
What was that, your 13?
Did I really skip it?
Because Kate went first, right?
Yeah, Kate goes first.
Okay,
So I'd be on 12 now.
Okay, so yeah, Andy, you'd be.
Oh yeah, well, that was my number 13.
Okay, there
Okay,
you go.
cool. All right, that's good. Yeah, they're
I'm on
fun.
track. I just can't count.
I don't know if you've ever seen them live. They're a trip. They're something else.
Yeah,
They,
they really are.
Yeah,
They're even worse live, right?
yeah.
They've actually gotten worse.
Yeah. My number 12, I'm gonna do the Nirvana MTV Unplugged.
Listen, it's a great unplugged.
Yeah, the Alice in Chains one's so good. And I was gonna say I remember like specific moment in finding out when Lane Stanley died, because I was in 9th grade drama class. And that just, I don't know, somebody brought it up, somebody who is like a senior, so it's weird for us to even be that into them because I'm that much younger. But knowing who they were and just thinking about that is like, holy crap, finding out somebody like that passed away.
Yeah.
But you can say the same thing about Cobain, but I was too young to know them back then. I got into them as a teenager, obviously, but that Nirvana Unplugged, just how you were saying, like you can hear his pain. He's so raw in that, and it's not long before he was gone too. So he passed away pretty soon after that was done. But I just think, he does a ton of their famous hits, but he does that cover of Lead Belly, Where Did You Sleep Last Night? And it just like
that scream
that just breaks my heart. Yeah, that last scream that he does, that like he's having trouble in his relationship and like a new baby and all that's going on, and that last like painful that like bring a tear to your eye, because that just, you can feel that it just kills me, but it's so good. We were at some random bar, and this like scrawny white dude just gets up and he does that and he nails it. Like everyone in the crowd, this is a loud, crazy bar, everyone in the crowd just stops talking, is just watching this dude because he's nailing it. It was insane. It gave me chills to hear that, someone who could pull that off well. And then to think, like, I can't even imagine being at that show. Any of those Unplugged are so good, but being at that one, and then like Cobain gets off stage and he like signs some autographs to a couple of the people in the front row, and then he's just gone. And not long after that, he really was gone from everything, So yeah, I don't know, that one, I have like goosebumps thinking about that one, or watching that one.
My wife actually saw Nirvana 2 days before the Unplugged was filmed. And she saw them at Roseland Ballroom here in New York City.
Wow.
And it was 2 days later they did the Unplugged, so she got to see them live. I never saw them live, but
Yeah.
So, which is really cool.
Yeah, that would have been amazing. Wow.
Yeah. Brad.
Okay, number 12 for me, Queensryche, Operation Live Crime. I mean, it's not like it's that much different than the actual album, actually, but I mean, they just did it so well. Of course, I like the bonus tracks that came along later from the rest of the concert. I actually got to see him twice on that tour, and it was one of those where I know that after the second time we saw him, my wife and I looked at each other and said, "Where are they playing tomorrow?" Because we were ready to go. It's like both of us got to go to work tomorrow. Well, yeah, but maybe, yeah.
That was on the Empire tour, right?
That was on the Empire tour.
Yeah, because I saw that tour as well. Because I remember the Operation Mindcrime tour; they were still opening, like for Metallica, so they couldn't do the whole album. Yeah. That was like the first time they were headlining, and they were able to do the whole album and stuff. So yeah, I saw that tour as well.
Yeah, it's kind of cool that they did that, because I mean, obviously it was the Empire tour, but I mean they felt that it was that important to do all of Operation Mindcrime live. And they did. I mean, it was just unbelievable.
Yeah, it was great, man.
Yeah, they were at the top of their game at that point of their career.
Yeah.
I mean, everything was just firing on all cylinders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wish I could see the original band again, but that's probably never going to happen. So
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, but you were right about hitting on all cylinders at that time. They were on the radio. They were on MTV. I mean, they were doing good for themselves.
The Grammys. They performed at the Grammys that year.
Wow, did they?
Yeah, they did Silent Lucidity, and I mean, it like brought a tear to my eye, because I mean, back then, a band that I liked actually performing on the Grammys made sense. It's just like, how is this even happening?
Yeah,
I mean, it'll never happen again.
Like when Metallica first performed on there.
Yeah, how cool is that?
Yeah. And they lost to Jethro Tull.
Yeah.
But I remember,
so famous. That's so infamous.
But I remember I was so into Metallica, and I remember they announced that they were going to play on the Grammys, and I still have that original VHS tape. I mean, I taped it off the TV.
Yeah.
And I remember watching, and then afterwards, Alice Cooper and Lita Ford came out to do the Best Metal album, and and then Jethro Tull won, and everybody was like, it was like, you heard like kind of silence in the audience.
Like, what?
What just happened? I mean, these guys just performed on there, and they gave like the performance of their life, and like they didn't even give it to them, But
what song did they play, Al?
One.
Yeah,
that's when they really. I mean, that's when they were really like blowing up, man. You could tell they were taking off. I mean, they made a thrash band makes it onto the Grammys, like you knew that was it, man. They were like on their way. So, So what do we got? 12, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, my 12 is going to be Frank Marino, Mahogany Rush Live. This album is another one, like the Travers album. If you're a guitar player and you don't have this album, I mean, you need to be smacked in the head. Really. Oh, you don't have to be a guitar player. I mean, you love guitar music, but I mean, his version of Johnny Be Good is the definitive version.
Oh, wow.
I mean, what else can I say, man? I mean, I'm a King Bee, which is cool. The Answer, Dragonfly. You got Electric Reflections of War, The World. I mean, they does Purple Haze at the end. I mean, everybody called him the second coming of Hendrix, but I saw him live one time here at BB King's in New York City, and I had to scrape my jaw off the floor. That's how fucking good he is. I mean, as the night goes on, he played over 3 hours. I think he played like 3.5 hours almost.
Wow.
And I remember I went with a friend, and we both took the train in, and my friend, after like 2.5 hours, was like, dude, I gotta go, man. I gotta, and I was like, dude, if you go, I'm not going, man. I gotta stay and watch the rest of this guy, man. And he was cool with it and everything. And I had to just stay, man. I couldn't. I was so entranced by him. He was just so good. And I heard that now, like lately, he retired from performing because of some sort of like I think he has an illness or something, but it's undisclosed. I don't know what's going on with him. But he was supposed to play again here in New Jersey. He was going to do a tour before COVID, and then after COVID, it was going to all the rescheduled dates were announced, and then all of a sudden he went on his Facebook page and said that I'm retiring from performing. I can't do it anymore. Which is admirable. I mean, the guy played since the late '60s, live. So. But yeah, I mean, Mahogany Rush live, dude. That's from '78, I believe that album came out. That's essential. So that's my number 12.
Never checked that out. My number 12. Right? Am I right? Do I want to put that one there? I'll save it later. My number 11 is going to be Bob Dylan. Before the Flood. On here, he's backed by the band. And actually, they do some band songs on here too. Side 1 is all Dylan. Side 2, the band takes over and does that. And then Bob Dylan takes over on 3 and 4. And I know that the band is on here, but don't think that Bob Dylan took a back seat because he didn't. This dude was just fantastic on this album. The songs are played a little bit faster. His singing is faster. It doesn't have that slow draw. He's just pretty much singing a little bit faster than he usually would. This was from '74. This has most likely you go your way, I'll go mine. Lady, lay. It ain't me, babe. Knocking on heaven's door. Up on Cripple Creek, I shall be released. Stage fright. The night they drove Dixie down, and then Dylan comes back out and does Don't Think Twice, It's All Right. Just like a woman, It's All Right, Ma, I'm only bleeding. And then he ends it pretty rocking with his version of, of course, he's the original of All Along the Watchtower, and Like a Rolling Stone and Blowing in the Wind. So this is a very good Dylan album. You people that like Bob Dylan out there, this is a fantastic live album. And this just came out at the right time because both him and the band were kind of slacking on the sales and kind of falling down on the popular ladder. And when this came out, it kind of boosted both of them. So, recorded live in concert Before the Flood by Bob Dylan and the band. All right, Kate, number 11.
So this was a tough call because Judas Priest has 2 killer live albums, Unleashed in the East and Priest Live. And I went with Priest Live only for the sake of having a couple more songs on it that I jam. And just like talking about Al seeing them, and I saw them like a couple years ago right before the pandemic, and they're so good live. You just can't go wrong seeing them. But this one's got Screaming for Vengeance, You've Got Another Thing Coming, Living After Midnight, Turbo Lover, which I love, which a lot of people think is a ridiculous song, but it is funny, so I like it a lot. It's got Electric Eye. It has, I'm trying to think of what else all is on that one, but so many killer jams on that one. Yeah. So GP Live.
So that covers more of their 80s stuff, that Turbo Live?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was on a Turbo tour that came from, so.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember the album cover with the hands and, all that. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually like the concert they included with the Turbo Super Edition or whatever. I think it was in Kansas City. I like the sound on that one a lot better than the actual live.
What is it, like a Turbo Deluxe or something that they put out?
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah, they put out a different show on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Oh wow. That's something to look for. Mm-hmm. Brad, what do you have as your number 11?
Number 11, Iron Maiden, Live After Death.
Nice.
Again, for me, that's when the band was at their peak. The set list was just incredible. Most of it recorded in Long Beach, which is hometown kind of for me. And even though I I saw them, and that's right after I moved to Utah. So I saw them in Salt Lake City on that tour. Which was phenomenal. So anyway, great album, great band. There you go.
Yeah. Right after that, that's a great album. How?
I'm actually going to echo Brad.
Ooh.
Live After Death. Yeah, dude, like everything that Brad said is, I mean, this was on the World Slavery Tour, the Power Slave Tour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were. I mean, this was like probably the peak of their live. Although I must say, as I've gotten older, I do love Maiden in Japan too with Paul Di'Anno.
It's great.
That's a great one. I hope one day they could release like an expanded edition of that, because it's only like an EP. It's only a mini album, but that album kicks ass too. If you're a Di'Anno fan, I mean, that's like Live After Death. I played this a lot when I was in high school, and yeah, dude. I mean, there's nothing else to be said. I mean, they were killing it, man. You know, I kind of wish I would have seen them on this tour, but I didn't. But I seen the video. They had the concert video, and the stage set was just insane. You know, and I did catch them on the Somewhere Back in Time tour, like the later tour, where they kind of recreated the stage. So yeah, it was cool, man. But yeah, that's a great live album. One of the best metal live albums of all time. If we were just gonna do like metal live albums, that'd probably be like probably in the top 3 for me. So.
All right. So
And real quick, this is like a cool little like box that kind of comes with a figurine of Eddie. It's cool, man. He's kind of coming out of the grave. Yeah, it's cool. It's like a kind of like a Best Buy thing or something. Or a Walmart thing. It was like comes with a figurine and stuff. So I had to have it.
did you get that recently? That one?
I got that like probably last year sometime. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's hard to find actually. I looked it up and it's like, I mean, I don't know how the hell, like this Walmart must have had it like in the back, maybe it was like extra stock and maybe they put it out. I just saw it one day and I'm like, what the hell? I haven't seen one of these in like years, whatever.
You're all like looking around. You're like, hey, what the hell is going on?
So I had to have it. So that's my number, 11?
Yeah. My number 11, we kind of talked about these bands that kind of interchange with each other of the heavy metal English bands. Rainbow live on stage.
Yeah, it's a great
freaking dude. Dio on here just unbelievable. His vocals are so unbelievable.
That's
Richie Blackmore and him, huh?
I was just gonna say that's another one you wish was like a longer, like a double. I don't think that was a double album.
Nah, it's a single. Yeah.
You sure it wasn't a double album?
No, it's not.
It's only got like 7 songs on it or something?
Yeah, but they last like 20
minutes.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I was gonna say if they added an extra album, it'd just be 2 more songs.
Oh, okay.
It's just one side of an LP.
But
Yeah,
when they
I'm not so sure that's not a double album, but because I seem to remember having the vinyl and
oh, okay. I never had the vinyl.
Really?
I can't remember if that's a gatefold and a double LP or not.
Yeah, because this doesn't say, one of one or one of two.
Yeah.
On the cassette.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
And
it was
this
just
was
a single album.
From 77. But man, the way that Dio sings Mistreated on here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
That's
unbelievable.
badass, man. Man, he doesn't mess around on that. But yeah, not that much information in the inside. But it's got the medley with The Man on the Silver Mountain and Starstruck and Catch the Rainbow. It just also has Kill the King all on side 1. Dude, I know the thing is that when this is playing, it feels like it's a long album.
That's because it's 2.
Oh. It feels like long when I play it. You're like, crap.
I don't know why.
Yeah,
But
I saw
yeah.
him on that tour. It felt like 2 albums.
Yeah, but Rainbow on stage, this is great. I love it. I remember, like you were saying, the first time I put it on there, I was like, fuck, does this end? But yeah, Rainbow.
Yeah, that's the definitive version of Kill the King in my mind. I I mean, the studio version doesn't hold a candle to that live version. Cozy Pal, I mean,
Cozy Pal, man.
Cozy Pal, yeah, that's the one thing I remembered when I saw them. It was just like I couldn't stop watching Cozy and Ronnie. The rest of the band was kind of superfluous. Those two guys, Ronnie was just so badass, and just the way he twirled. I don't know how he does that. Twirls his mic stand. I guess that's like a magician's trick or something. But it's just he was so, and yeah, he was just so good.
Yeah, that's a really good live album. I love it.
Yeah.
Kate.
Ooh, number 10. So I went with Elvis, Aloha from Hawaii via satellite. I love this. I just think it's a trip. That this is such a cool cover, and it has him where you pull him out, and there's all these pictures of him in Hawaii.
I had that one on standby, but it didn't
we usually pick a lot of the same stuff, which is funny to me because that was when I was thinking when you said the MTV, I could have called it that you would have picked Alice in Chains one over Nirvana, but this recorded at 12:30 a.m. Sunday, January 14th, 1973. Tons of good songs. A lot of people don't realize Elvis covers so many songs that, like, we all get it, like a lot of us know so much music and know so many songs and all the things that he covered, but a lot of people just think Elvis is so famous that they're his songs. But he does, like, the intro is the theme from the Space Odyssey, like 2001: A Space Odyssey. But he does Burnin' Love. He does Johnny Be Good. He does My Way, Blue Suede Shoes. He does Hank Williams, I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry. Like, I don't know. This one's just a killer. It's a 2 LP. It's the gatefold and everything that's in there. But I love the cover. And they'll be like, oh, it's live via satellite. So at the time, it was like mind blowing that you could have a satellite like beam something to the States from Hawaii. So, well, I should say the continental United States to Hawaii. But yeah, I don't know. I just like it.
Nice pick. I think that's the first time we mentioned Elvis on any of our.
I can't think
casts.
Yeah, I like Elvis a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like. Probably one of my it's not on here, but one of my favorite songs. I think I've talked about it before. That cover that he does. Oh, what is that called? Having a bad brain day. Is busy and worked a full like long shift today. I'll come back to it. It'll dawn on me. Oh, Never Been to Spain. It's a cover, but his version. It's later Elvis, and yeah, I don't know. That's one of my favorite songs of all time. So that.
Yeah. I just recently got into Elvis, probably the past 2 or 3 years. I wasn't never that much into them, and then I started buying the stuff. And my wife goes, "It's because you don't know what else to buy." Like, I guess so.
Well, they're cheap. Like, you can pick up Elvis for $3, $4, $5 for any album because there were so many pressings.
Yeah, you can buy Elvis for
so
cheap.
many. But, yeah.
So, Brad.
That's fantastic. Okay, my number 10 is an album that I wore the heck out of. This album. I had to buy it twice because the first one got so just destroyed by my turntable. And it's Mahavishnu Orchestra, From Nothingness to Eternity. And there's another one. I think the side 2 is just one song. So 3 songs on side 1. But there's just so much badassery going on this album. These guys playing live in Central Park, and it has just such a weird vibe in it when it comes in with the gong, and I don't know. And John McLaughlin is just unbelievable. His guitar playing, and the whole band, Billy Cobham, everybody in there's just killing it. So yeah, that album for me. I'm a huge Mahavishnu fan. And I don't even know why. I mean, I was a young teenager when I first saw him in concert. I think it was on ABC on Friday night or something like that. And I was just hypnotized by this whole thing. I'm like, what the hell is this? And this guy doing just this incredible stuff on a 12-string electric. But the songs, I mean, the songs, there's just something, I don't know, just something spiritual and magical about them. And have them being played live just was so much better. So there you go. Mahavishnu Orchestra.
So this is what, 10, right?
Yeah, 10.
10.
That's
So yeah,
top 10.
10's going to be another guitar player, Uncle Ted, double live Gonzo.
Yeah.
Dude, he just kills on here, man. I mean, his Birdland, just the tone of his guitar is just incredible. His band is incredible. Derek St. Holmes, Rob Grange, Cliff Davies. He was at the peak here, man.
Yeah.
And he was a spectacle, man. But I mean, just with the Dr. Watered, Wang Dang Sweet Poontang, Cat Scratch Fear, Stormtrooping, Hibernation. He does a couple of the Amboy Duke stuff, and the Stranglehold on here is just epic, But I mean, it's just a lesson in guitar riffs, man, And Ted did some of the best, so I'm not going to get too crazy and talk about it, but I mean, I love this album too, man.
Yeah,
man, my favorite song off of there is Gonzo. I don't know that it's even recorded anywhere else.
What's that?
Gonzo, the song. Gonzo.
Yes.
Oh no,
yes.
Baby Please Don't Go. Yeah, he goes into that, but
yeah. Says here Joe Freeman Coliseum, San Antonio, Texas.
Freeman Coliseum. I saw Stone Temple Pilots there.
Yeah, 1977, man. It looks like a lot of this. Well, yeah, there was a lot of it was recorded in Texas, Nashville, and Texas. So, yeah.
Well, I didn't know that was the Freeman Coliseum. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Ted. He's a real pioneer of old time rock and roll, and he made his own. He made the sound his own. You know what I mean? With extra amplifier and his own guitar playing.
He took what Chuck Berry did and just amplified it, and
yeah, that's what I was looking for.
He went up to 11 on it. So.
Yeah. Well, he's coming over here in July. I think I mentioned that before, and I'm really hoping to see him because I've never seen him before. So.
Oh yeah,
Wasn't that the Unplugged set you said he's playing?
Yeah, Unplugged. Ted Nugent Unplugged.
Ted Nugent and Unplugged don't go together, man.
His greatest love songs.
But you know what? Damn Yankees did an MTV Unplugged.
Oh, did they?
Yes, they did.
Wow.
So
there you go. I told you.
Look it up on YouTube. It's on there.
Yeah, you know what? I think that'd be a pretty good episode. We can grab things together like in a month. Yeah. Grab different things together, and then have our favorite Unplugged episodes.
There's definitely some great ones, man. That like a lot of people don't talk about anymore. And if you really go back in the archives and look to see who played, you'll because when Unplugged was like big, man. I mean, I have a couple of VHS tapes where I used to just tape all the Unplugs, man, and I still have it. And
I love that show.
And I remember going through it like not too long ago. And I want to go through it again, digitize them, throw it on DVD, and just to archive it. But there was some great ones in there. I don't even remember. I mean, the Black Crowes had a great one, Aerosmith did one, I mean, it's crazy, man. The amount of Unplugs, it's like, it's so many bands did it. So,
yeah, that's something that we can look into, Google, and then break them down. Yep. My next one is going to be, what are we at, number 10 or 9?
No, we're at 10.
At 10, okay. Yeah. My number 10 is going to be, I didn't know which one to choose because I got several live albums by him. So I went ahead and chose Jimi Hendrix Experience Live at the Wonderland in San Fran. Dude, there's always been questions on Facebook. Who's the greatest guitar player? Prince or this or that. If people don't say Jimi Hendrix, it's because they never heard him play live. They're just sticking to his radio songs. Because when Jimmy plays live, there's nothing like it. The dude jams. And then this turns into the poster of the...
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, which is pretty neat. Yeah, Jimmy just goes off on this album, which of course if you heard Jimmy live, you never know which way you're going to go. I've got several live things that I was just, I just mini mode of which one I was going to talk about. But yeah, live at the Wonderland.
There's so many good live ones.
Winterland, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Brett Hendricks. That goes up there. All right. So that was my number 10. Well, let's go.
Okay. Number 9. Iconic. Johnny Cash, Folsom Prison. This one, I don't know. I really like San Quentin too, but this one, I guess, I think I have a little more impartial to. Folsom Prison Blues. You have I Still Miss Someone, Cocaine Blues, Orange Blossom Special, Long Black Veil. I'll show the back of it. I have it out. But yeah, I mean, you can't beat it. It's all handwritten on the back, all the text.
Oh, wow.
It's hard to see because my computer, but it is his writing on the back. There's a big long note on the back of it. But that one, yeah. Jackson with June Carter.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great one.
Yeah. I'm a big old time country fan, so that was one. I was trying to think of like a live like Hank Williams, and I was trying to figure out which one I had that was a live one, but I love Johnny Cash so much, so it's always
yeah, I've got the San Quentin one.
Yeah, that one's killer.
Yeah.
That was really a squeaker between the two because I have both. I love both.
Yeah.
A lot of similar songs on both of them. So, yeah.
Brad?
Okay, number 9, UFO, Strangers in the Night.
Thank God you picked that.
I know, a lot of people consider this like one of the all-time greatest live albums. I love it a lot just because I love those songs, and I love Michael Schenker, and I can't say that they're actually better than the studio versions. For me anyway, but there's still very, very cool stuff going on here. So yeah, that's it. That's all I'm going to say.
I agree with you, Brad. That album didn't fall in my top 15 only because I only discovered it later on after I discovered UFO and Michael Schenker. So, I kind of didn't grow up with it, but in a pantheon of live albums now, it's like one of my favorites, but I didn't include it in here, considering my criteria for picking my live album. So, but Schenker just kills on that,
Yeah.
It's just, if somebody's going to get one thing by UFO, that's the one to get,
That's true. For me, what kind of takes it down a notch is the keyboards. It's like, forcing keyboards into songs where they really shouldn't be, to me, is just kind of like, and I realize Paul Raymond played guitar too, but there's certain things where there should be like a harmony guitar part, but he'll have him do it on the synthesizer.
Yeah.
And that to me just takes it down because I want to hear 2 guitars doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
gotcha.
Yeah. So Paul Raymond, rest in peace. UFO, I've seen them many, many times. I think they've, out of any band I've ever seen, they make more mistakes live than any other band. I saw them on this tour. They were very good, but of course, after reading Pete Way's book, I can kind of get why there was a lot of mistakes. There was a lot of drug abuse, drug and alcohol abuse. Man, it's surprising they could even get up on stage and play. Some of these times, but the music they created is just legendary, especially those first the Michael Schenker albums.
Awesome.
So we got 9, right?
Yeah.
Allman Brothers Band, Fillmore East. Allman Brothers Band is my favorite out of the whole like Southern rock type of band. So to me, they were just on a whole different level. I've seen, it was a tradition to me to see them at the Beacon Theater in New York every year when they did their and I actually got to sit on stage on one of the shows.
Of course.
I was one of the 2 people that sat on stage and got to witness that.
One of 2.
And that was the last time I ever saw them. And it was the year before they retired. I didn't even go see them on their final tour because the ticket prices were outrageous when they announced that they were going to do the last one, and tickets skyrocketed. But the tour before, I was like, dude, I sat on stage. I'm good, man. I'm good. That's like the pinnacle. It's never going to get any better than that. So
how did that happen, Al? There's got to be a story there. How did you get up on stage?
Well, it's nice to know radio people.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that. So me and a buddy of mine, they only allowed 2 people to sit on stage. It was me, and I could bring a friend of mine. So
okay. So that needs to be on the back of all your T-shirts. It's nice to have radio.
Yeah. So it was cool. The cool thing about that was when you went to your seat. Now, mind you, like they gave you strict rules. They're like, once you sit in your seat, it's not like you can get up and during a performance, and go take a piss or something. So I mean, we didn't drink any beers. We didn't do nothing. Like I just sat down, took in the performance. It was a break between like 2 sets, and then you can get up and go do what you wanted. So when I went to my seat, there was a paper on the seat that said reserved for best seats in the house or something like that. Right. I still have it. So, and they gave you like a backstage pass. So during the break, I took that and I wandered around backstage. I ran into Warren Haynes. I ran into Butch Trucks, and they all autographed it for me. And then, and when the concert was over, I ran into Greg Allman and Derek Trucks, and they signed it as well. I'll have to post a picture of that on my Facebook. I think I have it, but it might not be. I don't know. I don't remember, but I cherish that now because Butch Trucks and Greg Allman are gone.
Right.
But going back to this album, this is like one of the greatest live albums for me. I mean, they just jam on here.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, State Sport of Blues, In Memory of Elizabeth Reed. I mean, Whip Post is like 23 minutes on here, Yeah. But when they jam, I mean, I love the way they jam. I mean, I was never a big Grateful Dead guy. For me, like the ultimate jam band for me was Allman Brothers, because I don't know, man. They kept me interested, in when they jam. And so this is my number 9. I got to go with this one. It should be in everybody's collection, really.
Yeah. Oh, well, when the Allman Brothers would jam, it made sense of where they were going. It kept you interested. Sometimes when the Dead go off, you kind of you start to figure them out.
The whole thing with Grateful Dead is like they would go into a jam and sometimes it would just fall apart and it wouldn't work.
Right. It didn't work.
I mean, somehow they would kind of find their way back eventually after maybe 20 minutes, but
they can noodle their way back. That's like Fish too. I've watched a couple live Fish shows on like New Year's Eve and that, and it's like they go way out and they'll eventually come back, but I don't know if I'm in
with them anymore
to stick in there.
But Allman Brothers, I mean, it's some
Almonds. I feel like Almonds, Supertramp, like there's a handful that they could jam their asses off for 15-20 minutes and you're tuned in still.
Yeah, because they still have that same beat or that same rhythm just stretched out.
And some people are really good at circling back, like it stays in there really subtle and then it comes back really big. I don't know what the right word is for that. There's got to be like a technical term, but that you guys know what I mean.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It'll come back.
Exactly what you mean.
The dynamics.
Yeah, when it like flows, where it's like they're super subtle because we just saw Kingfish. If you guys know Kingfish, Kingstone Ingram, and he is amazing at that because he could jam for 10 minutes straight, and it's like, it started off as this one thing, jams his ass off, and he's got it the whole time. It's really subtle and rolls all back into a big like cacophony kind of thing happening. So. Yeah, some bands are so good
check
at
them
that.
out too. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
My number 9. You know what? I don't know what this was. I don't know if it's a actual release, official release by the band, but it's called "The Love Divine" by the Smashing Pumpkins. This was during the Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness tour. I'm a big Pumpkins fan, and it's a shame that they group them along with the grunge movement because they were out of Chicago. The music was completely different from anybody else that was out there. It was a little bit more, I don't know, would y'all say like heavy prog?
It was shoegaze, they had shoegaze, they had psychedelic.
Like a mix, and there's some that are more like on the grunge end, and then less grunge.
Yeah.
It is different sound.
Yeah. So Smashing Pumpkins, this was taken during the like I said, the Melancholy Infinite Sadness tour, which is a double album. It's a fantastic album. That's one of my favorite double albums, period. It's one of my favorites.
Good.
This has Tonight done acoustically, 33, 1979. Starlight, Cherub Rock, Mayonnaise, Body, Silverfuck. I mean, they really do a lot of different stuff on here. Of the Melancholy and Infinite Sadness songs, they really turn up the notch. And it's a pretty heavy album, actually. I found it when I was because I'm trying to get all of their Aeroplane. Y'all remember when they came out with the 7 singles? And like each single has like 7 tracks on there, and I've got half of them. Now I'm just looking for everything separate. And then I found this when I was looking for that. So I'll put that in this list because it really deserves to be in there. Smashing Pumpkins, the Live Divine. So Kate, number 8.
Oh yeah, number 8. I'm going with Mac the Knife, Ella, Live in Berlin. This is the version where she doesn't really know all the words. So I don't know if you've ever heard that, where she's just like, I don't know all the words of this song, so she just scats through a lot of it. She always was so fun and playful with any of her singing. Anytime she didn't know anything, she'd just scat and get through it. And that's like this version of Mac the Knife, and she does How High the Moon is the last song on this. And it's another one where she's like, we're gonna try it out and see what happens. And she nails it.
That's funny.
One of the most phenomenal female vocalists of all time, for sure. And then just knowing the story of, I don't know if you guys know, where like Marilyn Monroe helped her get her start because they weren't letting Black artists play in clubs, and it was a club that Marilyn Monroe was performing at, and she stood up for her and said, like, you're gonna feature her, I'm never playing here again. And she got in. So shout out to Marilyn Monroe for helping Ella get her foot in the door in the white clubs. Yeah, I love that one. If you've never listened to that, check it out because it's so much fun. You hear how playful she is, and she's just, I don't know, she's another one that's like tuned into the ether somewhere.
Yeah, I will definitely check it out.
It's good. It's a good one.
Brad.
That's very cool, by the way. Okay, number 8 for me. This is one that I had on cassette because I think it was before I even had a turntable. Then also had it on vinyl and now have it on CD. It's Edgar Winter's White Trash Roadwork. Wow. This is the album that taught me how to scream. Him and Jerry Lacroix, those guys could scream their asses off. And it was almost kind of funny in a way, but it was just awesome too. And yet the band just swung hard. The first album is more kind of soul, bluesy, even gospel, funk, and then the second album part of it is rock. More straight up rock. Rick Derringer's in the band. He does his thing. They bring out Johnny Winter for a song, which is the definitive version of Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo, in my opinion. And if you haven't heard that, that's what you need to hear. The Rick Derringer version is like bubblegum, goofball version. This is real rock. And the guys just play their asses off. Great stuff. Yeah, Rick Derringer, totally underrated guitar player.
Yeah.
Yeah, great album. Love it.
Thanks for. I think I have it. I'm pretty sure I do. I'm going to check it out later on tonight. Golly, I'm going to be up all night.
Yeah, the kind of weird thing is they start off with "Save the Planet," which is a gospel song.
Yeah. And
so if you never knew what was coming or whatever, you listen to that, you'd be kind of like, I don't know that I really want to listen to 2 hours of gospel music. But it totally goes all over the place from there. hitting all kinds of things. I mean, back then I wasn't into horns at all. I was just into guitar, bass, and drums. So it kind of took me a while to come around to that, but I totally
get it.
Yeah, I totally get it and feel it now. And those guys were all just killing it. I mean, everybody in that band playing their asses off live.
Yeah, I got to see. Awesome. Edgar Winter Road Work. Ow. Number 8.
Right? So number 8, this is the first thing I ever bought by this band that made me fall in love with them and become one of my favorite bands of all time. And I got to go with Exit Stage Left by Rush. Yeah, this began like my obsession with them, and this was like them at the absolute probably peak of their career, on the Moving Pictures tour. Comes out with the Spirit of Radio. I mean, the 3-punch. I mean, they go Brunsbane Into the Trees into Xanadu. That whole trio right there is like one album side. It just takes you on a journey, and then like you never want to come back from it. The version of La Villa Strangiato on here, unbelievable. I mean, Alex Lifeson just kicks ass on that. He's one of my holy trinity of guitar players I've mentioned before. Jacob's Ladder. I mean, every song on here is a classic, Closer to the Heart.
Yeah.
So, Exit Stage Left. I bought this when I was freaking 10 years old or 11 years old, and it blew my freaking mind apart. And I never looked back. So, but there's another, there'll be another one that might be higher. So we'll just leave it at that.
Hey, Al, is that the same copy you've had since you were 10?
No, actually, I have a couple. I have another copy of this, but this one is the Canadian Anthem pressing that my I used to work at a pizzeria that was owned by my cousin, and then kind of another cousin that was a cousin through marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And he was from Canada. He's from Toronto, and he knew how big of a Rush fan I was. And he gave me his copy. He gave me this.
Oh, wow.
So it was like a Canadian pressing, but I have the American pressing, which was like the first one I ever bought, and I still have that one too. It's downstairs in the box somewhere, but yeah. I figured I'd show this one. So this is
awesome.
I mean, when he gave it to me, it was still in the shrink wrap. It was open, but he never he just would slice the shrink wrap, and he said he probably played the record like once or twice. He recorded onto a cassette and listened to it that way, and he never really played the album. So the album was like mint. So that's my number. What is it? 8?
8. Yeah. My number 8 is going to be Kiss Alive as my number 8. I was never into Kiss at all. For years I would not listen to them. But I bought this because I was in Los Angeles on vacation. When I go on vacation, I buy vinyl. And I was at a Moby Records, and man, it was late, and I couldn't find anything. I said, you know what? I'll just go ahead and grab it, just so that I can have something from here. And fell in love with it. I thought it was great. Here's the inside of it, which I'm pretty sure y'all are pretty much familiar with it. This just has all the power and all the energy and all the celebratory that is Kiss, So Kiss Alive 1, Deuce, Strutter, Got to Choose, Harder Than Hell, Firehouse, Parasite, She, Black Diamond. I mean, it goes on. And also the definitive version to me of Rock and Roll All Night, being live. Of course it was on Dress to Kill, of course, but it doesn't sound as full as it does here in this version.
It has a solo in it too.
Yeah.
Huh?
It has a guitar solo in it.
Yeah.
The studio version didn't have one.
So, and it was pretty cool to buy this on the same street that this was produced on, because it was on Sunset Boulevard where the store was. That's where this was, produced or stuff like that. So Kiss Alive for me is number 8. Number 7, Lucky 7.
So I went with this guy is Chuck Reagan. Oh boy, I'm not good at this. Chuck Reagan, Los Feliz. This was recorded February 19, 2007, Los Feliz, California at Tangiers. So Chuck Reagan is one of the lead guys in Hot Water Music. So I don't know if you guys have ever listened to Hot Water Music. You guys might actually really like them. That's like a post-punk kind of band.
I heard of them.
I could recommend some albums. They're still around. They just put a new album out like a few weeks ago, actually. But this is Chuck's solo stuff. So he went from all the post-punk stuff and decided to do this thing called the Revival Tour, which is a bunch of these punk dudes all doing folk stuff. So this is more of a folk album. Chuck has this like gravel voice that sounds like he like drank rocks. Yeah, I love this. This is the live version, and then Feast or Famine is the studio. So I have both of them, but that's one versus the other. Seeing him live and knowing how he plays live, he's great. So
Wow.
I highly recommend checking this out if you're into folk music at all. If you like anybody with like a gruff, gravelly voice that can scream their ass off, he's right up there with them. But Hot Water is his usual band. So it's cool.
I've never heard of them. I'll check that out.
Hot Water.
Hot Water,
I'll
the name
send
of the
you
band?
some songs. Yeah.
Hot Water? Okay.
Yeah, I'll send you some stuff from him.
All right. Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
All right. Brad, number 7.
Gravelly voice that can scream their ass off. That pretty much fits my next album, which you probably remember this story, Andy. It's the first album I bought with my own money. Johnny Winter and live. Again, Rick Derringer makes another sighting here. I had no idea at the time listening to it that Rick Derringer was actually playing quite a bit of the leads in here too. It's just kind of, you don't quite understand that when you're a kid, that there's other, different guys doing different things. But to me, it's the blueprint for my musical life as far as, the feeling of music, playing your ass off on every song that you play, not just, phoning it in. Feel it and then play it. And that's what these guys do. And for me, it's the definitive version of Johnny Be Good. So there, I think we already had somebody say they had that, but
That was on the Elvis.
Oh, you think the Johnny Winter version might be the
I think Johnny Winter version's pretty damn good.
It is pretty damn.
Rock and roll! And then, yeah, it's badass, man. And these guys, everybody plays well. I mean, the bass player is just, this is just old school stuff where I can't imagine they even worked anything out. They just played. And it probably goes along with the Allman Brothers and all the rest of these guys that they listen to each other playing. And you can hear it here in the jams that they would kind of go out on. It was just very unscripted, but very cool and just totally great. So if you haven't heard it, get it. The very first song, Good Morning Little Schoolgirl, which of course is a cover, just the drum intro, it just kicks ass. So there you go.
Yeah, that's very good. I like it too. I like it. It's really good.
So where are we at here?
Number 7?
7.
So this guy's another one of my Holy Trinity guitar players. So I got to go with Ozzy Osbourne, Randy Rhoads tribute. This album ruled my life when I was a teenager. When it came out in '87, cassette never really left my boombox for like months. Suicide Solution with his guitar solo. I mean, that was like, it blew me away, man. Randy Rhoads. What else can you say, man? He just goes through, I don't know, Crazy Train Believer, Mr. Crowley, Flying High Again, one of my favorite Randy solos of all time. He does a couple Sabbath classics, Iron Man, Children of the Grave, Paranoid. So, it's got to be tribute, man. But I'm also going to give a little shout out to like the live Mr. Crowley EP. So this is cool. It's got Mr. Crowley's Suicide Solution, but it's got a B-side out here. You Said It All, which was an unreleased. It was not an album track on any album, so it's kind of cool. I saw this picture disc. It was like I don't know, man. It was like maybe $2 or $3, and I had to have it.
Yeah.
So and a little more, and another shout out for the deluxe version of Diary of a Madman, which has a bonus live disc on there as well. If you like live Randy, I actually like the sound of that better than this one, actually, in these later years. But I'm including this because it was such a part of my youth, and it's my love for Randy grew even more with this, and it just made me sad that he had such a limited amount of discography. I mean, really, it's 2 Ozzy albums, and if you really want to go back, it's 2 albums with Quiet Riot, and that's really it, So, and I just heard that they're going to release the Quiet Riot albums with Randy officially here now. They're going to put them out on vinyl and CD finally.
Yeah.
It's not the Randy of Ozzy. I mean, if you listen to those albums, he's a bit more primitive, but you can hear the talent there. It's blossoming. But in Ozzy, I mean, he was just on a whole other stratosphere, and who knows where he could have went. So, but yeah, Tribute, my number 7.
He's another one that was way too young that you wonder
25 years old.
Things would have been. Yeah, 25 is so young.
Isn't that crazy? 25?
You wonder what he could have done. Yeah.
Number 7, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Number 7. I think we talked about this when we did 1987. We talked about the album, but not the tour for that album. Dawkins, The Beast from the East.
Good live album, man.
Oh, dude, this is a badass live album. I was hearing this the other day to see if it was going to be in my 15, and man, it shot up almost into my top 5. Unchained the Night, and every track on here is just I don't want to say heavier, but it's punchier. It's a little bit faster on here. Unchained the Night, Tooth and Nail, Standing in the Shadows, Dream Warriors, Kiss of Death, When Heaven Comes Down, Into the Fire, Mr. Scary, Heaven Sent. And that was such a badass song. I loved Heaven Sent. It's Not Love, Alone Again, Just Got Lucky. Man, Breaking the Chains and In My Dreams. And I think I named almost every single track on here. Almost really did, but I remember when I got this, I was like 12 or 13, and my mom got it for me for Christmas with my first turntable. And this is still the same copy. And I had asked my mom, Mom, how did you know to buy this? She's like, I don't fucking remember. But yeah, Dawkins, Beast from the East.
George
opening up, it's got the Japan thing in the middle.
George Lynch plays his ass off on that, man.
Yeah, he does. He really is and I'm also, Don sounds great. He really does. He sounds great on that album.
Yeah.
I had messaged you earlier, Al, there's so many live albums I was going through. Just some just did need some of that studio touch to make them better, So yeah. That's where I am with that. Kate, number 6.
You're muted. You're muted.
Oh, sorry. I said, what would one of my lists be without having something by the Beatles? So I did Beatles, Live at the BBC. I only have volume 2 on vinyl, but this, oh man, what an epic set of recordings from them. Just this one this is 3 LPs and I don't know, like 40 different songs that they recorded, and this is just volume 2. So volume 1's even more. And yeah, you guys know it. They do all their hits. They do a ton of different covers, and that's where they really shine in a lot of the covers that they do and genre that they cover. Yeah,
Now, I got part one. On part two, does it get a little bit more into their own music?
So this one, if we go really quick, let me go. Anna, go to him. Hello, please, please me. Misery. I'm talking about you. I mean, that's a lot of covers in there. And then the other side, Till There Was You, which is a cover. Hippie Hippie Shake. Roll Over Beethoven. There's a Place. P.S. I Love You. Please, Mr. Postman. Devil in Her Heart. Sure to Fail. Never Mind. Twist and Shout. Bye Bye. I saw her standing there.
Okay.
Glad All Over. Lift Lid Again. I'll Get You. She Loves You. Memphis, Tennessee. My throat. I'm like, my voice is going. Money, From Me to You. I Want to Hold Your Hand. This Boy. If It Wasn't America. I Got a Woman. Long Tall Sally. And I Love Her. You Can't Do That. Honey, Don't. I'll Follow the Sun. Kansas City. Hey, hey, hey. I Feel Fine. And then there's bonus side 5. So there's John, George, Ringo, Paul, each do a pop profile on that third. So.
Okay. Yeah, because part one, the brown one, was all Please Please Me.
Mm-hmm.
It was all from pretty much
all their early stuff.
Yeah, from their Hamburg years.
And that's like each of those, because when we did the Beatles one, each of those is like 6 covers and how many OGs. Yeah. So it's interesting, but yeah.
It's awesome. Brad.
All right, number 6 for me, Scorpions, Tokyo Tapes. This was the album that really got me into the Scorpions.
Yes.
I'd given them a shot earlier in the Flight of the Rainbow, and just I wasn't ready for it, and I just kind of didn't really think much about them. And then when I saw the cover to this in the record store, I was like, okay, it looks like they're actually rocking here. I'm going to get it. And by golly, again, it's one of those live albums that I just love the sound of it. I just love the sound of the guitars, the sound of the drums. Klaus, of course, sings just tremendous. And plus it kind of got me through a tough time in my life. So at that point, I needed this album. This lifted me up in a big way. So, and I've been a huge Scorpions fan ever since buying this album.
Yeah, the Tokyo Tapes are great. I love them.
Yeah, Brad, man. I mean, I love that album too. I mean, it didn't make my list because I didn't discover that album until later on. I mean, the thing by Scorpions, the live album that I heard was, a worldwide live.
Yeah,
this is like popular here in America, but I never knew about the Uli John Roth stuff until like later on, when I really started like discovering their '70s stuff. And to me, that album kicks ass, man. I mean,
for me, worldwide live. Even though I really like the songs, I feel like the production. You sound like you're sitting in the back of the arena. Yeah, everything's so far away. It's just it kind of loses kind of the intensity for me on that album. I want to sound like it's right there.
Yeah,
that's the kind of sound I go for on a live album. So Tokyo Tapes for me, definitive. Again, it's just dudes rocking out. They're playing. They're really doing it. If there's any overdubs on there, then I don't know. They screwed them up because everything's just way too live. It's fantastic.
All right. Well, my next one is going to be that one. And I discovered this because I read an interview with Paul Stanley one time, and he said that really this was kind of the template for Kiss Alive, that they really looked at this album, the packaging, everything, and really kind of modeled Alive after this one. So I loved Kiss Alive, so I had to go and discover this one when I was a teen, and it just rocked my world, man. Like Brad touched on it earlier, but like if 4 Day Creep, the first song doesn't grab you right away, just leave, man.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, don't. Yeah. You're not ready.
No,
you're not ready to rock if you can't get into that first song.
I love the way they trade off vocals on that, man. It's just killer, dude, killer.
It's real rock, man. It's the real deal.
Yeah. So I'm not going to dwell too much on it, but I mean, you want to hear a kick-ass live album that's real? Just get this, man. And props. I've heard I don't have the box set with all the performances, but I've listened to it on YouTube, and it is great, man. I do want to get that. Where it's like every night. So
you need to get it, and it's really cool stuff.
Yeah. So that's mine.
All right, my number 6. If I'm not mistaken, we've touched on this one already by Brad. Rush, All the World is
my live album.
Right, but Rush, All the World is Stage. About this was one of the first Rush that I bought, and I loved that they covered the first 4 albums on here, and Lakeside Park is one of my favorite songs by Rush. Period, and it's really neat how it goes into 2112 on here. It starts off with Bastille Day and Anthem on side 1, and it's just phenomenal. The way that it's just so heavy and real in your face, this album. So that's why I've got this one at number 6, Rush, All the World's a Stage. It was between this one and Exit Stage Left, because these are the only 2 Rush albums, but not the only ones I know, but the ones that I listen to the most. But I prefer this one over Exit Stage Left. And I just bought a show of hands not too long ago, so I'm in the middle of that one of hearing that. All right, we are into the top 5.
Top 5. All right, we were allowed to do festivals, live albums.
We are allowed.
He had to do Woodstock. Woodstock, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
How many killers were at Woodstock? I think this Crosby, Stills and Nash performance, obviously Hendrix's performance. You have Santana, 10 Years After, The Who, Joe Cocker, Sly and the Family Stone, Jefferson Airplane. You have Richie Havens, which his versions of like Strawberry Fields Forever, and then he does Freedom. And that Freedom is just, I don't know if you guys saw what was that movie? It's Django Unchained, and they play Freedom in that, and it's that version of Richie Havens doing it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I love that. That's one of my favorite songs, and this just, it's all bangers. I censored this one because it's got a little kid's pee-pee on it, so I put a sticker on it. But this one's got the Hendrix and stuff on here. Mountain, Canned Heat. Who else was on this? Is like, I'm looking at them, but I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. Yeah, Santana's on here. Country Joe and the Fish. I like that a lot. Woodstock's just, I don't know. That's one of those concerts that you wish you could have been at. And you're like, you pick a handful that anytime, time or place, living or dead concerts. So this is definitely up there for me.
Yeah.
Once again, real music. So.
Yeah, and just like a ramshackle festival that somehow like turned out way, way bigger than they ever could have imagined. It's just wild to watch this film that they made and then know the story of it not really being put together the best and not knowing if it was even going to come off at all.
Yeah.
And then it just like the roads are closed. There's too many people trying to get there, and it's just like chaos. But then all the music still could settle everyone and bring everyone back from like the brink, Yeah.
Yeah, I got Hendrix on CD of his Woodstock performance.
Yeah.
I got that one too.
More Hendrix live, that is absolutely amazing, and anyone who doesn't like Hendrix is obviously wrong.
They're wrong. All right, Brad, number 5.
Judas Priest, Unleashed in the East, and there again, that's I was lucky enough to see that version of the band twice.
Wow.
And
Les Binks, man.
Yeah, Les Binks was especially that second time. Well, he was just fantastic. They were they were all so good. And I don't know why. My only beef with this album is the guitar sound. Al, you might get this. I want the guitars to be just not have the phase shifter stuff on them. You know, I want them to be straight up just guitar distortion.
Yeah, it does have a phase shift.
Marshalls. Yeah, I mean, that's what I remember them sounding like live. I don't remember having all the effects on there to just kind of smear it and soften it out. But I still love this album, and I know Rob redid the vocals because he was having a bad night when they recorded this. But I saw him live on both the tour before this one and this tour, and he was unbelievable. I mean, that first it was Stained Class. That was the first time I saw him. This is pre-leather Rob, okay? He was just wearing blue jeans and a white t-shirt. He came out, he sang, and then he nailed it. I mean, hitting everything just perfect. And then he dropped the mic during the leads and walk off stage, and then come back out, pick it up, and just go right back into it. And it was all about him, just belting it out. And then, of course, the Hellbent for Leather tour, all of a sudden he comes out full biker gear, and it was like a totally different dude.
Wow.
He was just out of control. He was just lit up. There might have been a little bit of enhancement there. What a great band they were at that time. And I love that live album. I love all the versions of those songs.
Yeah.
Great album. So there you go.
I can't picture him in a t-shirt and jeans. I just can't for the life of me. I can't.
There's a
what's pre-leather?
There's a great video on YouTube. I have it on bootleg actually a long time. It's them in Japan. It's on the Stained Class tour. And it's like one of the only like really live footage concerts besides the Old Grey Whistle Test thing. But check that out, man. Pull that up. I think it's from like 77, right, Brad?
Yeah, that was the year of that.
And Rob is like, he's decked out like in a white, like almost kind of satiny, like flowing, like kind of outfit. This was before the Hellbent for Leather when they went straight leather and all that stuff. Yeah. But yeah, dude. I mean, and I think Glenn Titham's like in a red satin like kind of suit or something.
Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, you want to see old footage of them from the 70s? That's the footage. You're gonna get. Just pull that up, man. Watch that.
They were so tight. I mean, every song was just played immaculately on those tours, and it sounded so good. I wish I could have bottled that. It makes you wonder if it was as good as I think it was. I was in awe.
I tell you what, I wouldn't want to be back in those days, like as heavy as they were, and as like I wouldn't want to follow them.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because the first time I saw him was at the Whiskey, and the warm-up band was this guy. He was in Blondie. His last name is Valentine. I can't remember what his first name is, Kenny or Gary or I don't know. But he was the warm-up band, and LA is brutal to warm-up acts. I think I've talked about this where Cheap Trick got booed when they were warming up for Kiss when they recorded Kiss Alive 2. But these guys were, kind of punky new wave and warming up for Judas Priest, and they just got shredded. And the guy was introducing the next song, and he goes, "Oh, this song's called I Like Girls," and it's just stone quiet, and you hear one guy goes, "I doubt that." It was just amazing. Wow. At least people weren't like later on. Then when metal became everybody wearing leather and that, and people start getting all these people that were there for the scene, not for the music. Yeah. Where people would start throwing stuff at bands, and that was awful. I hated that. Hated it. So at least people were just nice enough just to yell things at bands, not spit on them and not throw things.
Yeah.
So
no.
All right.
That's uncalled for.
All right, number 5. When I was a kid growing up, I used to steal this album from my older brother all the time, and I used to listen to it on headphones in my bed, and just being mesmerized. And it just felt like mystical to me. And it's Zeppelin. The song remains the same. Now, in hindsight, it's not considered like the best live album, but I still love it. I mean, listening to headphones, listening to Dazed and Confused, which takes up a whole album side. Being a kid and listening to Jimmy Page's violin solo actually sounded evil and scared the shit out of me. Listening to that in headphones, like just the whole atmosphere of it was like mesmerizing to me. So, I mean, and then you hear the stories of like, Jimmy Page, I had Aleister Crowley's Castle and all this stuff and the backwards satanic stuff. And it just added to the mystery of like a kid listening to this. And I just love it, man. To this day, it still resonates with me, man. I mean, it brings back so many youthful memories. And I still think the live version of Dazed and Confused with Jimmy Page on the violin bow solo is some of the most evil sounding shit, I think, in my opinion. I mean, it scared the crap out of me, like the way Sabbath would, Yeah. I thought, like, it was just, I don't know, man. It was just something about the sound of it. I was like freaking out in a way. So, but yeah, that's my number 5. I got to go with that because it was such a part of my youth and growing up with my older brother, bringing home albums and his whole ritual of putting the album on a turntable and looking at the liner notes and the pictures. And I just learned so much from that, and it just, it sent me on my own journey. So thank you, Paul, for that.
That album gets unfairly talked bad about because I think it's a great
live album, man.
Yeah, I think it's a really good live album.
And my older brother used to take me to the midnight showings of Song Remains the Same in the theaters. So it's like it was almost like going to see a Zeppelin concert, but obviously, they were done by then. But it was cool, man, being like a little kid going to see that, So and seeing Jimmy Page, just looks so cool with the bow, bah, 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 like it just, it wanted me to play. It wanted me to play guitar and like be cool like him,
Hey, let's hear it for older brothers, man. Wasn't for my older brother, who knows what I'd be listening to. And
exactly.
And of course, he took me to my first 2 concerts, which were
same here.
Which amazingly enough, those albums are in my top 2. I'm gonna go, top 2 albums for my first 2 concerts. So there you go.
Cool.
Spoiler alert.
We're at number 5, right?
Yeah.
I don't have the cover to this because when this came out, the cover was
I don't think we can let you do it then, Andy.
Was like a.
You ain't got the cover. Do you at least have it tattooed on your body somewhere?
No, I just have the disc to it.
Okay, all right, we'll let you do it.
This is my favorite band of the grunge era. I guess that's what they call it. But hello to y'all watching us on Facebook and on YouTube. Thank you so much. And we are looking at the comments there. Pearl Jam live on 2 legs. This will be their first live album. This was right after Yield. This has Corduroy. It starts off with Corduroy off of Vitology. It's such a great track with so much energy. Given to Fly, Hail, Hail, Daughter, which lasts almost 7 minutes because it goes, they finish Daughter and it easily goes into Neil Young's Rockin' in the Free World, second verse, and then easily goes into WMA, which is on the Animal album. Elderly Woman, Behind the Counter in a Small Town, great stuff. There's a song after it called Untitled, which we all know. If y'all know Pro Jam, they'll play a song you never heard before, you'll never hear again in their live settings. MFC, Go, Red Mosquito, and it ends with Black and a cover of Neil Young's Fucking Up. So I'm live on 2 legs by Pearl Jam. I've seen them a couple of times. I've seen them once over here at the Woodlands in Houston. That was a pretty good show. But the second time, me and my buddy Jeremy and his brother-in-law, we went to go see them at the New Orleans Jazz Fest. And man, that was great. I mean, we pushed ourselves up to like maybe the second row, and they played like at 3:30 in the afternoon. and they played the set long enough. It was like almost a 3-hour set where you were able to see them. And like towards the end, the sun was setting. It was starting to get cooler. It was just a great atmosphere, man. It was a good show. So Pro Jam is my number 5 on Live on Two Legs.
One of the best live acts I've ever seen.
Yeah, they're
I saw them at Austin City Limits, and yeah.
I would love to see them again.
I want to see them again. They're on another tour. I don't know where they're going to end up heading, but they never ever come to Detroit, so that's the problem. I always have to travel to go see them.
Yeah, I hope they come close to here because their last album was really good. I like their last album. It was a big comeback from that crappy one before it. I gotta call him as I see him, man.
All right, I'm going with the Concert from Bangladesh. This one has like Leon Russell, it's got Clapton, Dylan, George and Ringo, obviously, Billy Preston. Like, there's some amazing stuff on this.
And Badfinger plays a big role in that too.
Yeah, there's just a lot going on in this. And then it's at Madison Square Garden. It's the first time Ringo and George are on stage together again after the Beatles stopped doing live stuff.
Yeah.
It's like the first time Dylan has a big U.S. show in 5 years. It's a
after his motorcycle accident.
Show. Yeah, just a huge show. There's just so many different good versions of things that these guys all do. So it's just
yeah. Supposedly Lennon was supposed to make it too, but supposedly he got lost on the way. Who knows?
Even though he lives in New York.
He couldn't find Madison Square Garden. Whatever. Even I know where it is.
I know. I've only been in New York twice, and I can tell you how to get to Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, I know. But he couldn't find his way. Okay, Lennon.
That's too bad because it's not, I mean, I guess it's like a decade later he's gone, but
yeah,
still, you'd think he'd show up to something like that and then doing a huge charity concert because that's like one of the first of its kind of doing a giant charity show. Just for the Bengali refugees, and there's like a war going on and everything, and then you end up seeing stuff like Live Aid and that really kicked off these huge charity festival kind of concerts. So
yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good album. And it's one of my favorites. I got it on album
a lot, yeah,
and on DVD.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I need to watch it. I haven't. There's certain shows I'll end up watching because it's like when we were talking about the band and there's certain live things. So like The Last Waltz, I'll usually watch like once a year. And this I've never watched all the way through, but I'll watch Woodstock like once every few years or so just to experience that all over again. Yeah,
after you had asked about, putting in festivals, I was going to pull that out and The Last Waltz and stuff like that, but I had already
you have your set, once you have your list set, because I always do this, like my list is set maybe 2 minutes before we go live because I'm going to change it. But it's hard. There's so many good live shows and especially like concert albums that are put out. There's so many amazing ones.
Yeah, like I added the Rainbow like at 6:30.
That one kicks ass though. It's such a kick-ass Dio. Yeah, you guys know how I feel about Dio.
Yeah.
Brad, what's yours? You got number 4.
Okay. This is a band. First time I saw them, they were warming up for Blue Oyster Cult at the LA Forum. I'd heard of them before. In fact, somebody loaned me one of their albums, and I was just like, this is the weirdest crap I've ever heard, and gave it back to them. But I've since become a huge fan. But their live album, the band is Bebop Deluxe. Their live album, Live in the Air Age, is just, I don't know. I've seen them, I don't know, lucky to see them, I guess, 3 times. And I saw them on the tour for this album, and it was like one of the best concerts I've ever been to. They were headlining Santa Monica Civic, It's the only concert I've ever been to where people wouldn't leave when the band was done. They didn't have any more songs to play, so they came out and they played Red House. They just jammed on it, and then after that, people still wouldn't leave. And Bill Nelson, the guitar player, he came out and he says, "Look," he says, he says, "Thank you so much, but seriously, we don't have any more songs. we just can't play anymore." And finally, it's like everybody's like, "Okay, fine." I mean, this is after they turned the lights on, people wouldn't leave, and that was before they came out and did that last encore. The lights were on, the house lights, and I've never been to a concert like that. Tom Petty, Heartbreakers were the warm-up act. It was their very first album and tour, and so that was kind of a cool thing to see as well. But yeah, if you want to hear some just incredible guitar playing, get this album. The songs, you might just listen to it and go, "I have no idea what's going on here. This is just weird." I mean, he kind of combines a lot of different elements of music, but it rocks. And one of my all-time favorite drummers, Simon Fox, that dude kills it on the drums. And so just a great band live. Love them. It's too bad they didn't last much longer after that.
What was the name of the album?
Live in the Air Age. It's kind of weird because they've come out with super deluxe versions and remixed and mastered of all of their studio albums, but they've never given the live album any kind of special treatment. That makes me wonder. In fact, I know there's got to be extra material laying around from that. So I'm hoping that's still going to come because Bill Nelson's still alive. I mean, after he dissolved the band, he kind of went into a weird, almost Devo kind of direction for a while, and then he kind of just totally went away from playing guitar and just doing kind of ethereal kind of synthesizer music, and then started playing guitar again, but never really rocked.
Not like the way you remember it.
Yeah. I mean, he put out a live album a few years ago. He does this thing like every year for his fan club. They play in a very small place, and he comes out and plays, and he actually recorded it, both video and audio, and I've got that on both, and it's really good, but it's not the same. It's just not the same as the four guys, the original four guys in the band. And yeah, still really good stuff though. But just be aware, I mean, it is a bit of an acquired taste if you want to dive into this. The live album is a great place to start. I'll just say that.
Cool. Yeah, Bill Nelson, man.
Yeah, he would do these weird four-finger rolls that were just like, I've never heard anybody else do it other than him.
Yeah,
and it's just very cool. And his tone is just so good. It was so good live, just incredible.
All right, my number 4. It's been touched before. It's going to be Judas Priest, Unleashed in the East. So the original album had 9 tracks on it, but if you get the remastered, you get the 4 bonus tracks, which fleshes the live album out a bit more. But yeah, this is like one of the greatest metal live albums of all time. I mean, if we had metal live albums, it might very well be my number 1 because I played this so much. But I mean, to open up with Exciter. With Running Wild, Sinner is one of my favorites. When KK Down is just going ape shit. Yeah, with the whammy bar, Diamonds and Rust, Victim of Changes. I know Rob redid his vocals, but that scream is still legendary. You got Rock Forever, some of the bonus tracks. I mean, Rock Forever, Delivering the Goods. Hellbent for Leather, Starbreaker. The only thing that I wish, it's kind of weird that they didn't have it on here was Beyond the Realms of Death, which I'm surprised that was not on here. I think
because that was part of it was on the Stained Class tour. They played that.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they played it on the Hellbent for Leather tour as well. Yeah. Which is where this was recorded.
Yeah.
But you're right. And the definitive version of that live was those tours. I mean, Glenn Tipton's solo in that
Yeah.
And it was the only song he'd play a Les Paul on, so he could get that feedback just right at the end of it.
Yeah.
And
Incredible.
And he'd nail it. And both times I saw him do it, he would just nail it, and then just
yeah,
incredible.
Oh yeah, like real emotional too, man. Like great solo, man.
Well, the other thing is about Glenn. I mean, he played the solos from the album. You know what I mean? It's like those compositions. He wasn't just one of these guys that just go out, just play whatever. And so, I mean, and those solos to me are so important that I'm glad that he plays it exactly like that live.
Yeah. I think KK was a bit more of the spontaneous guy where he like it wouldn't be exactly like the studio. He had more of that reckless abandon kind of playing.
Yeah, Glenn was the technician, and then KK was just I called him the noise guy. I mean, he would just go crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, with the wah wah and the whammy bar.
But they're still like one of the greatest duos in metal history, you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's my number 4. I'm not going to dwell on it any longer. It's one of the greatest live metal albums. So I hope one day they can do like a real expanded edition, like, and put like, you know, everything there, you know, so.
My number 4, this one just came out last year. Neil Young is my second favorite, right after the Beatles. So he's one of my favorite artists. This one is called Live from the Rust Bucket. It's a 4 LP set. It was recorded during the Ragged Glory tour. If y'all are familiar with Neil Young, which is side 7, it is like a hurricane. The whole side, him and Crazy Horse just go off on that one. This is one of those bands that we were just talking about, like the Allman Brothers and stuff like that, where Neil and Crazy Horse can just go off for a while, but still keep you grounded and still keep you within the song. I had picked this one because this was off of my this was the tour of my favorite Neil Young Crazy Horse album called Ragged Glory from 1990. This has, of course, almost the whole album, but other tracks that stick out, Sentiment Girl, Cortez the Killer, Roll Another Number for the Road, Sedan Delivery, Don't Cry No Tears, Danger Bird, which both songs are off of the Zuma album, which is another one of my, I guess, number 2. But yeah, I put this one. I was trying to figure out which Neil Young live I was going to put on there because I knew I was going to do one of them. I just couldn't figure out which one, so I chose this one. It's 4 LPs. It's about a little over 2 hours long. But man, I can put it on and just hear it from a beginning to end. And this is the one that girl at work, her name was Esty, was saying, "Man, that sounds great. Who is that?" I told her. She goes, "Well, I'm going to look it up." And I said, "Are you on Spotify?" I go, "Yeah." She goes, "Oh, yeah." She goes, "Well, he's not on there." "Shut up, you're lying." I said, "No, he's not on there, for real. I'm surprised you didn't hear about this. It was going on for the longest time." I said, "He's no longer on Spotify." So, but that's my number 4 is Neil. All right, number 3, top 3, Kate.
All right, so how I mentioned on the last one with like the band and watching The Last Waltz probably once a year, I watch Stop Making Sense every year. If I can catch it in theater, I do, because it's just I don't say legendary often, but this is a legendary concert film where like even all the critics who hate everything say it's pretty much near perfect concert film. Talking Heads, one of my favorite bands of all time. This was recorded in December of 83, and then it came out, I want to say, in April of 84, and they were doing this to promote their Speaking in Tongues album. Jonathan Demme. What else can I say? I don't know. It's just such a great album, and the film obviously is like the masterpiece, chef's kiss to this film. I love it. The album, when they released it, it didn't have Heaven and it didn't have This Must Be the Place. So they ended up doing like a newer special edition where they released it with those on there. You get a little glimpse of Tom Tom Clubs, like Tina Weymouth, the side project.
Yeah.
Trying to think of what else. I mean, this is just such a cool album. The film obviously is like the thing to catch, and it's phenomenal. It's filmed over 3 nights, and they funded this all themselves. They raised like $1.2 million to fund this project.
Wow.
So that I think is just so interesting. And there's a book David Byrne wrote a while back that's called How Music Works. And in that, he's talking about all the different stuff. Like, he goes through the whole history of music, which is really interesting hearing him talk about it, because he, in that book, like, mentions how he's on the spectrum and he never realized it before. And he ends up talking about how he wanted the set design and how he wanted it to be just like, it starts off and it's just him, and then having the boombox and him and the guitar, and then bringing in all the stuff, and he wanted all the stage hands to be dressed in black and pulling in, like, the drums come in and this comes in, and he talks all about that in that book. I highly recommend checking that out if you're into Talking Heads at all, but even just being a big music nut, it's an interesting read. So yeah. So number 3, it's, if you haven't seen the film, see the film, please. I'll give you like $5 if you watch it and you hate it.
Yeah. Is anybody streaming that? Do we know?
I'll look it up really quick. There's a cool website called justwatch.com. So if you're ever looking for any concerts or like any TV show, any film, anything,
Cool.
Just Watch. But I'll look it up while you're doing yours.
You kids in the internet.
I know,
That's
the internet.
You crazy kids.
You crazy kids. Yeah, I'm the old man here. Get off of my lawn. In fact, get off of my lawn and go out and listen to this next album.
Get off of my podcast.
Yeah, get into. Everybody should get into this podcast. That's what they should be doing. Yeah, whatever you people are doing right now that aren't watching this, what the hell's wrong with you?
They're probably sleeping.
Yeah, I'm like hanging on by a thread. Here I normally work till
sleep?
midnight too, and I'm just like, how are you guys hanging in there? That's my problem. When I get a day off, I work 6 days in a row, and today's my day off, and my body's just like, you're done, dude. Don't even try. Just don't even try. So number 3, one of my all-time favorite bands. It's one of another band, kind of like the last one I mentioned, that I feel like live they're so unbelievably better than they are on their studio albums, and that's Saxon. And this is the first Saxon live album, which is The Eagle Has Landed.
Great one.
I was a huge fan before getting this. When I got this, and I hadn't. Well, I was just going to say I hadn't seen him, but I had seen him. Duh. As I saw him at the Whiskey when the crazy band called Metallica was warming up for them. When James was just a singer, not a guitar player.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, anyway, seeing them live, it just flipped a huge switch for me. Getting this album just made all these songs so much better. I've got all their live albums, and they're almost every version of their songs live is better than anything they've done in the studio. So I love this album. It speaks to me, makes me want to rock. Every time I've seen these guys, they've been good, and I've seen them more than anybody else. Got to meet, I'm not quite Al, but I do have a picture with everybody in the band. So
I like Al.
Yeah, I've gotten with their tour manager, and
get to sit on the stage with the band.
I don't know anybody in the radio business, but I know Saxon's tour manager, and they love our radio station, and they've been very, very kind to us.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's
awesome. They always hook us up. They always treat us right, and I don't know. These guys are they're good. They're good dudes too. I mean, on top of that, I know the first time I interviewed him, I interviewed the drummer Nigel and guitar player Paul. And I said to him afterward, I said, Guy, I said, I was kind of nervous to meet you guys because I like you guys so much. So I said, thank you for not being dicks. And they laughed their asses off at that. And then, of course, they proceeded to tell me all the people they know in the music business who are total and complete a-holes. And of course, that's not part of the interview. But anyway, they're way cool dudes. So solid, cool dudes. If you're not a Saxon fan, start off with this album. Okay, go.
Number 3.
That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say anything else. There's nothing that needs to be said about it.
No, you wanted the best. You got the best, and you ranked it number 3.
Yeah. Well, listen. There's 2 of them that I like more. You're muted.
You're muted, Brad.
I know.
Oh.
Yeah, you guys can read lips. What? Yeah. No, I was going to say, what's going to be better than that? Well, believe it or not, it's not my number 1 album either. So.
Yep. Ace Frehley, man. Love it. We can move on to you.
Are you sure?
Yep.
All right. My number.
I mean, that album's been spoken about so much. It's I don't need to even elaborate on it. I mean, being a kid, I mean, I discovered Kiss in the 80s, and then I went back to that, and then I was like, yeah, this is the real Kiss right here, you know. And I love the first 3 albums. They're my favorite studio albums. So that naturally, that live album is just it takes those studio tracks and just brings them to a whole other level, So yeah, man. I mean, many consider it the greatest live album, and arguably it could be, but that's subjective to everybody, So I have 2 that I like more than that one, but hey, listen, I love it, so that's my number 3.
They must be incredible albums.
My number 3 is we kind of touched on this one, but we just talked about it, but it wasn't nobody's pick. Worldwide Live by Scorpions is my number 3. My uncle used to have this on cassette, and I used to listen to it all the time.
Yeah,
I think it's fantastic, man. It's
California,
the old school.
They were, man. I mean,
they're on top of the world on here, man.
I mean, I did see them in the 80s. I saw them on a Monster Rock Tour, so it was already 88. But for anybody that saw them in like the late 70s into the early 80s, man, it must have been like I mean, they were still unbelievable when I saw them. They put on such a great show.
They're still really good.
Yeah,
I'm hoping to go to Vegas and see them next week.
I saw they're good. Oh, and they just announced a show at Madison Square Garden here in New York.
Did they?
So, yeah.
I hope they come here. I've seen them just once.
Yeah.
I saw them. They were with Deep Purple, so that was a fun tour.
I saw them a couple years ago. Actually, I had front row for that, and Queensryche was opening up for them.
Oh wow!
So yeah, that's when Tyler Torrey was first like in the band. So that's probably like 10 years ago already. And then I saw them a couple years ago when they played the Garden, and it was Megadeth opening for them.
Yep.
So great show. So
Worldwide Live. Songs on here. This is pretty much like a continuation after what Brad was talking about the Tokyo tapes, and then this could be part 2 because right after the Tokyo tapes, this was going to Animal Magnetism, 80s Blackout.
Yeah.
Blackout, Bad Boys Running Wild, Loving You Sunday Morning. It's a great track, man. Big City Nights, Holiday. I remember recording Still Loving You off of the radio onto a cassette and just hearing that over and over. And Rock You Like a Hurricane, Can't Live Without You. Dynamite is such a great album track.
Yeah.
The Zoo, No One Like You. Yeah, dude, this was a really good album. I loved it. I still do. And I love the albums that made this. The Love Drive, the Animal Magnetism. Great stuff, man.
That's when they got big in America, man.
Yeah. Off those tracks. Love it. Okay, Kate, we're down to the bottom 2.
Deuces. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to start with this one because this John Prine came out for Record Store Day last year. And this is killer for records. You hear all his little like interstitial stories between each track, and he's just the sweetest thing on the planet. But this one I'm gonna go with as being my favorite one because this is his original John Prine live. It's a 2 LP. It's a ton of his great tracks. I don't know if anybody's into him. Do any of you guys listen to him ever?
I've never really heard him, so
I will send you a couple songs. Just his first one off, self-title. He put it out when he was 24. It's so damn prescient and brilliant. And even if you don't really like country or folk music that much, I think it's worth a listen because to hear someone who's 24 years old who could write the way he does, he's like the oldest soul, that kind of person that can just be. He was in Vietnam and he comes back from Vietnam and writes this album. But this live stuff is great because he's just a sweet, cute old man at the time, and he can just ramble on these cute stories where there's like a good one that this lady misunderstands his lyrics. So like his fans are called the Happy Enchiladas because the lady coming up to him telling him that she's like, oh, I always thought you were saying Happy Enchilada, and he's saying half an inch of water. You'd have to hear the song, but it's super cute. My favorite thing about this LP is on the back. It says, "This record is from my mother, Vera Prine. Thanks, Mom." It's so sweet. So yeah. I love him. I'll send you guys some stuff. You guys should check him out. He passed away, unfortunately. He passed away from COVID and like right at the beginning. So March, he passed away in April, but it was like right at the beginning of COVID.
I remember hearing about him passing away. Yeah, I remember.
It destroyed me because I was sick. I was super sick with COVID. I was like really, really scary sick with COVID. And then we were going to buy tickets to see him in May. He was playing in Louisville, Kentucky, and Nick's family still was living down there. And then, we're like talking about buying tickets and we'll wait it out and see what happens with the pandemic. And then he passes away and I never saw him live, and it just destroys me. So check him out. It's well worth your time. He's just an absolute doll and an amazing storyteller, songwriter. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Ever since you started mentioning him, of course, like Al, we've all heard about him, but just never heard his music. I've been wanting to, but I always forget because when I start doing these,
I know. Well, we do these, and it's like, there's like 10 albums because this Brad always mentions a ton of stuff that I've never heard of. That I'm like, I have to go check this out. You said it's good. I want to check it out. I'll send you that first off, though. That self-title, his first one, that's like the best starting place because it's just such a brilliant album beginning to end. And it has a lot of variation in his style. So you really get a good taste of like where he's going to go from that. He does this one. Have you guys ever heard of the House of Strombo? There's a bunch. There's like Melvins do it and all these other people. And John Prine's is awesome, that it's like some recording dude that just hosts shows at his house, and Prine's is amazing because it's when he's older. It's like maybe 2019, so like the year before he passed away, and Gordon Lightfoot's in the audience and he sings a song for Gordon Lightfoot, and Gordon Lightfoot's legit in tears watching him. Oh, it's just magical. So I'll send you guys a link to that in the chat. It's so
I would
Yeah, but I'll let Brad go. Brad, you got your number.
No, that's I love hearing you talk about this. It has to be.
I get so jazzed about him. He's just
this is what music's all about, man. It should it should give you these kind of emotions and feelings and passion.
He's sweet and he's funny, and he has these couple of songs that he has songs that just crush you, and then he has other ones that'll make you laugh out loud because that's the kind of person he was. He he loved Christmas. He had a Christmas tree up year round in his house, and he loved popcorn. So that was like one of his riders that he always had to have a giant trash bag full of popcorn everywhere he was. So he's just a hoot. But I'll send you guys a couple things, we'll check it out later together.
Yeah, please do. All right. Number 2 for me, Kiss, a live one. Second concert I went to, thanks to my brother. Of course, I'm the one who bought the tickets, so I should get to that. Growing up in the Los Angeles area, when this is right after a live album came out, and so when they announced the tour, the concert in LA, it sold out instantly. So I immediately figured out that maybe San Diego I could get tickets, and I was able to get tickets there. So we got 2 cars, caravan down there. And the most incredible thing I remember about this concert is when they came on stage, the lights went down, the crowd was so loud that when they started playing, I mean, you could feel the fire in that, but the crowd was so loud you couldn't even hear them. I mean, I knew they were playing Deuce, okay? But it's like, this is the most incredible experience I've ever felt in my life.
Wow.
I mean, it's like, this is what I want to do. And so there you go. Deuce. First band I was ever in, and those guys knocked on my door and they said, "Hey, will you join our band?" I said, "Yeah, if you'll play Deuce and you'll let me sing it." I said, "I'll join the band." And they said, "Okay,
Cool.
there you go."
All right.
Wow.
My number 2. Cheap Trick at Budokan. And this is a great package here, man. For anybody that this is like the DVD of Budokan, and then it's got a CD of the soundtrack of the DVD, but it's got extra songs not aired on the video, and then it's got the at Budokan the complete concert. So, I mean,
that's a nice package.
Yeah, it's a really nice package. Comes with a poster, a book. I mean, it's really cool. Like, you know, you take it out. There you go. You got the original cover on here, right there. And then it's got a poster in there and stuff like that. So, but yeah, really cool package. But I mean, at Budokan, one of my favorite live albums of all time. I mean, what else can you say about it, man? You know, I mean, they just kicked ass, man. Cheap Trick was one of those bands that, like, they played with, like, everybody, you know, and I didn't see them until later on, like, into, like, the probably 1990 or 91 was the first time I actually saw them. But I mean, I since then, they're probably one of the bands I've probably seen the most times live, you know, next to Rush. You know, probably almost like 50 times I've seen them, you know. So, I mean, and they never disappoint. The thing I love about them is, like, when you see them, their set list is always different. They always change your set list, and they'll throw in, like, obscurities and all that type of stuff. But Budokan, man, I love that album, man. That's all I gotta say about it. That's my number 2.
My number 2, I'm gonna keep this one short and sweet because Al already talked about it quite a bit and did a great job of it. But Ozzy and Randy's tribute, this is great. You know, all the way through. It's just a great album.
Yeah.
You know, it really shows the talent and the love that Randy had and the excitement that Randy brought to Ozzy. You know, Ozzy really, you know, I got other Ozzy live, of course, we all do, but he just never sounded as enthusiastic as he did on these sets, you know? So that's my number 2. I'm not going to go through the songs because I'll already hit on all the songs, you know.
He bought the best. He bought Ozzy back from the dead, man. You know, it's so yeah.
I mean, he went toe to toe with Sabbath, you know, and in my opinion, you know, I like the Ozzy albums better than the Dio albums with Sabbath. I love Diary of a Madman and Blizzard of Oz more than I do Heaven or Hell and Mob Rules.
Yep.
I mean, they're good, but not that good. So
he was much bigger at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much bigger than Sabbath. So, and it was because of Randy. You're right. If he'd have tried that first, version of the band with Bernie Torme, it would have probably been okay, but it wouldn't have been this. So.
It wouldn't have been on another level of everything else that was going on at that time. You know, it was catching lightning in a bottle, being at the right time. I mean, and capturing that moment that is now part of history. And and the history is all wrapped up onto this tape.
Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome. There it is.
Okay. Number 1.
Number 1, guys. What is our number 1 live album of all time? We started this yesterday.
It's
Number
today
one.
now. I went with Band of Gypsies live at the Fillmore East.
Wow.
I have this one. I want to get the Songs for the Groovy Children, the box set that came out in 19. I need to get it because this is my end all be all dream concert anywhere, place, and time. When anyone asks you, this is the one that I would have wanted to been at. I mean, just how we talked about it before, you mentioned Hendrix live, and whenever someone says they don't really care for Hendrix, it's just like, I don't know about that. Like, you never listen to him just shred and destroy the crowd, literally light his guitar on fire. Like, it's mind bending. And this one, especially, like, you have Buddy Miles drumming and
Billy Cox,
phenomenal.
right?
Yeah, and Buddy Miles sings a couple tracks and stuff, and it's like, how can you drum and sing at the same time? Just I can like barely walk and chew gum at the same time. so to hear him, and then he does Stop, which is, that track is just killer.
Dope.
Yeah, Hendrix forever will be my favorite guitarist. And then especially getting into psych, like I'm really big into psych bands, and he wanted to preserve the vibe that like Sgt. Pepper gave off. So that's a lot of the clothes explanation and things that he was doing and trying to keep that. And is like when Sgt. Pepper dropped and he could learn the whole album in a night and then play it. And it's like, oh, well, they're there watching him do it the next day. Who else can do that? And who else is like part of the 27 Club, that kind of thing? Like he just.
Unfortunately, there is a 27
Unfortunately, he's part of that club. But my fiance always talks about he was somewhere where like maybe Billy Gibb ended up coming in, and he's like in a hotel room and he's like grinding off the things on his guitar, and he's like, "What are you doing?" You know, and he's like, "Oh well, now I have a mid." So to have that where he could change the guitar into all the different sounds, what's the word I want? I can't think of it. I don't play guitar and I can't think of the word, but instead of just having like 3 settings, you could have it all these different ones because he ground it down himself. But yeah, Songs for the Groovy Children, the box set that came out in 19. It was recorded. It's New Year's Eve, Fillmore East, 1969, going into 1970. Probably one of the best shows that's ever happened ever. Yeah. That's my pick. Number 1.
Cool. Great one.
Yeah, like I said, I got that Winterland, his Monterey set, his Woodstock set.
That Hawaii one's killer too.
Yeah, that one just came out like last year, didn't it?
I got that one too.
That one's really good.
Yeah, it is.
That stream it. I wish I had the vinyl, but if you stream that Songs for the Groovy Children,
I'll check that out. But yeah, that Band of Gypsies is insane.
Yeah.
Brad, what's your number 1? I want to call it, but I'm not sure.
Go for it. First concert I ever went to, and I think you know this.
Okay, if I don't know the name of the album, but I'm going to name the band. Blue Oyster Cult.
Correct, 100%. So On Your Feet or On Your Knees. It was this tour that after they came out with this live album, the first time I saw them, thanks to my brother. 15 years old. And yeah, again, it just totally just blew my mind. They were so incredible. I just loved everything about them. I love that everybody in the band had their own identity. I mean, one guy didn't sing, but he still had his own thing. But they kind of did the show where, Eric Bloom did most of the singing, but then, Al sang a few songs and Buck would sing a couple of songs. And they were just so good live. And so anyway, this album to me, and I think the production on it's awful. I think that it just sounds weird as hell, but it's something. There's actually something kind of magical in the weirdness of the sound of it that I do like, and the performances there. So great stuff. So that's my number 1, Blue Oyster Cult.
Well,
It's a good one.
My number
Yeah, you
one.
started us off with that, Kate, and I'm kind of ending it.
They're just so good. Yeah, we
All
did
right, Al.
we could do a BOC show.
Yeah, Al, what do you got?
Yeah.
All right. Well, my number one. I already had another live album by this band on here.
Oh my.
It's one of my favorite. It's my favorite band of all time. I'm probably a little bit biased, but I listened to this album constantly when I was younger. And like Brad was saying earlier, the rawness of the three guys just going for it. There was like a reckless abandon, but a tightness at the same time. And it's this one, man.
Yep.
Just that album cover alone. I mean, I love it, man. I mean, just they're not even on the stage, but it's like you can almost still hear the music, you know. And in the back, you know, they're kicking ass on the back there.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know. To me, like you know, the side of By Torn the Snow Dog like took on like a half-hour epic, you know, and it's like to me that's almost like kind of like Lifeson channeling his Jimmy Page on that one, where he's like it almost sounds like he's using a bow, but in reality he's using the volume pedal and an echo and using the swells. But I mean that takes you on such a journey. I really hope that one day, like, it gets like kind of the same treatment that Humble Pie did, like where they released all the nights of the album, because this was recorded 3 nights at Massey Hall in Toronto. Ironically, one of the nights is my birthday, June 12th. So June 11th, 12th, and 13th was the nights, and I'd love for them to do a box set and do all 3 nights complete in like a box set. And you know, I know they have the recordings; they're sitting in the vault, so it's just a matter of like them doing it. But anyway, like this live album just ruled my world. Again, Alex Lifeson was one of my holy trinity of guitar players, and made me want to play and get better. And I mean, I guess Stage Left was the one that introduced me to them, but this really kind of overtook my favorite live album by them, so it's my number one. So, All the World's a Stage by Rush, my favorite. Everybody else's picks are wrong. I'm just kidding. It's all subjective. It's all great, man.
All right. So before you go on yours, I got to tie into this album a little bit. You talk about them having things in the archives. Well, this just came in the mail today for me.
Ooh, Coney Hatch.
You can see this Coney Hatch.
Underrated band, man.
Yeah, this guy right here, Andy Curran.
Yeah,
he's the guy who has access to all that stuff.
Yeah, I know.
And he's actually, well, as you probably know, he's doing that project with Alex Lifeson right now.
Yeah, Envy of None.
Yeah, Envy of None. And these guys, we saw them, I don't know, well, before COVID, so probably about 3.5 years ago.
Wow.
In Niagara Falls. We traveled to see them, and it was just awesome. So this is recorded live at the El Macombo, which is a legendary club there in Toronto. I haven't heard it yet because I just got it, so I will review this for you guys later. But
yeah, let me know
I love these guys. I love this band. This might have made my top 15 if I had heard it. I hope so. I hope it's that good. If this thing sucks, I'm going to be pissed. Because I mean, shipping from Canada ain't cheap.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and you had talked about them on that quiz show we were doing last week.
Yeah. They sent me a guitar pick too.
Oh, that's
cool, man. That's cool, man.
So that's a kind of a nice bonus.
That pays.
The Trivia Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah, I went to Trivia Tuesday this past Tuesday, but they started an hour early.
Oh, that's my fault, man. Yeah. I thought he said it was still they hadn't changed their clocks.
Yeah.
Forward.
But then an hour early, I'm at work, so I was going to get on it as I was leaving, and I was, I had gotten the notification earlier while I was at work. So, about the only thing I can do now is quit work, so I can do quiz.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, Andy. I'm getting ready to quit work so I can do more of this stuff. So I can play music, talk about music, listen to music.
Oh man, wouldn't it be great? We get paid for this. We should be. We're good at this.
Take care of my little dog here.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw her when she fell off the chair during the show. She just fell right off of there.
But she saw something outside.
Yeah, she landed.
She's
She
going
landed gracefully there.
Poor little pupper.
All right. My number one, Brad and Al had this earlier, and I was surprised that it was so low on y'all's list, but Live After Death. This is just fantastic.
Can't argue with that.
I remember when this had come out, it blew my mind. And I still listen to it because I think it's so good. I still got that booklet that it came with, which is pretty cool. You know, Eddie up there, like Al was saying, the slavery tour, the Power Slave.
The stage show is just incredible, man.
Yeah. And every time you go see Maiden, I've seen them at least 5 times, and they go all out. The stage show, the production, the music, it's just insane. Everything that you get for this ticket. You know, sometimes you're like, man, that ticket's expensive, or that ticket's expensive.
They give you your
For
money.
Maiden, man, they give you your money's worth every time. So
they usually don't charge you a whole lot either.
No, they don't. Not them. No, it's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
But man, the Aces High, 2 Minutes to Midnight, Trooper, Revelations, Number of the Beast, Power Slave, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. It's so cool because they start to mix in their heavy metal and and when they start to lean towards a prog metal that they incorporated later on after, you know, during Power Slave and of course Somewhere in Time. Of course, this came out before that, but 22 Acacia Avenue, Children of the Damned, Die With Your Boots On.
Oh, great song. Love that song.
Yeah.
Everything, you know.
Yeah.
I guess one of my favorite tracks by them is Hallowed Be Thy Name. Just the melodies of it, and Bruce just wailing.
Number of the Beast just celebrated 40 years, too. I can't believe it.
40 years.
That was the first Maiden album I ever got.
I remember going to my friend's house. He was a little bit older than me. And, you know, we would have like slumber parties or whatever, hang out. And in the middle of the night, he turned on, you know, the Number of the Beast and woe is thou. I was like, shit, though.
You guys
I was like, man.
Yeah, it's scary, man.
no one's sleeping tonight.
Yeah. But yeah, Iron Maiden was my number one. Kate's number one was Hendrix. Brad's number one, Blue Oyster Cult. And Al's number one, of course, was Rush. All around the stage. This was a great show, guys. We each did 15 live albums. We almost hit 60. We did repeat a couple. We went from Blue Oyster Cult to David Bowie to Foo Fighters to Pat Travers to Bebop Deluxe to Ella Fitzgerald. Man, we covered a wide range of things tonight. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
A couple of honorable mentions, if y'all want to do this one.
I'll do it quick.
Okay.
Yeah, I can run through a couple real quick.
All right. I think this is a bootleg. My wife gave it to me for Christmas. Beatles Live at the Whiskey Flats. This didn't even have the songs on it. The cover just says 1 and 2. It's just blank. But the songs on there, and I couldn't believe it. So I had to listen real close to make sure it was the Beatles. And it is Twist and Shout, You Can't Do That, All My Lovin', She Loves You, Things We Said Today, Can't Buy Me Love, If I Fell, I Want to Hold Your Hand, Hard Day's Night. Just great stuff. And I had to do one more Beatles live at the Hollywood Bowl, done by George Martin. I know that I didn't, you know, Beatles are my favorite band, but when it came to these live albums, I didn't want to put a couple that were, you know, released afterwards or not released by them compared to official releases that these other bands worked so hard to put out there as products. So those are going to be my mentions are the 2 Beatle albums. Al?
Oh, me?
We'll go reverse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We're going.
Well, I gotta mention Neil Young's Live Rust. My older brother had that one, and that's a killer live album too, man. I mean, that's when like Neil Young was almost like punk, and like he was showing them punk guys like how it was done. It was just so heavy and loud and just crazy, man. But a great live album. Another one, the Who live at Leeds. You want to talk about
great album?
Another great one. But it's I didn't discover it until I was a little older, so it wasn't really part of my youth. But when I heard that album, I'm like, dude, this is like one of the greatest live albums of all time. I mean, they were just so heavy on that album. Here's another one, man, the Kinks.
Oh yeah.
That one's awesome.
One for the road, and I mean this is a great one too, man. This is when they were like just killing it, like they were like the premier live band like at that time, late 70s into early 80s.
Yeah, they became arena rockers.
Yeah, arena rock, so that's like another one. And like Brad mentioned earlier, Strangers in the Night, that's a great one. And Thin Lizzy, Live and Dangerous too. That's another great one.
I was surprised no one had that. Yeah.
And again, I know, but again, I didn't discover that until later on. I didn't really know much about Lizzy, except what you heard on the radio, which was like 2 songs.
Yeah.
But Thin Lizzy is like one of my favorite bands now. I love them. So.
And I've never heard Live and Dangerous.
Oh, dude, you gotta listen to Live and Dangerous.
Yeah.
But I found it on CD. I got it with me. I've had it for a few months. I just haven't had the time to throw it on, and I've got in this stack of CDs that I gotta listen to.
Yeah, Live and Dangerous.
If I'm doing these shows, I'm listening to something else.
Yeah,
but I have to.
Those are my honorable mentions.
Yeah.
For me, Deep Purple, Made in Japan.
Oh, another great one.
That was one I was surprised wasn't.
I listened to that, and I was like 12. Yeah, I listened to the hell out of that.
Yeah.
Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Welcome Back, My Friends.
Yes.
Greg Lake, such a huge influence on my bass playing, mostly my tone, is what I was.
Almost put that one in there.
Everything. Frank Zappa has so many live and live-ish albums. I couldn't pick one to put in the top 15. So I just, his stuff live is just incredible.
Live in New York is great.
Yeah, that was actually the one I'd kind of picked out. But I mean, Roxy or Roxy and Elsewhere, that is just.
You could do
there's so much great stuff.
You could do a whole show on Zappa alone, man.
Man, we should do that. Hey, let's do that.
We should do like a top 10 of Frank Zappa.
I'm in.
Yeah. And then the last one is more of a recent band for me, and that's Toto. Their Live Fields album, I think, is an incredible live album. They're a band I didn't get into until the turn of the century, just because somebody dared me to listen to their music other than just the radio songs. And,
great players, man.
They are so good. They are so good live. I've seen them so many times since then, and I saw them just a week ago tonight.
With Journey? Yeah,
with Journey.
Yeah.
And they, even though it's like a Toto tribute band, basically. Really. I mean, which a lot of these bands are kind of like that now, but they're still. I mean, the band is so good. The songs are so good, and they're just a great band. I'm huge passion for them. So there you go.
So mine, you guys mentioned Unleashed in the East. That one's killer. That Supertramp live in Paris, I mentioned that. I love that. I love Supertramp, another jam band. I love any band that has horns in it. That Fela Kuti Africa 70 with Ginger Baker. That one, Ginger Baker can just shred. So that's,
Yeah, Ginger Baker loved it so much he moved down there.
Yeah, he was there for a year. Yeah, that's a cool one to check out. I feel like that's a super under the radar album. I love Fela Kuti on his own, and then this is, I had so many written down. I'm from Michigan, so I think to have like a Michigan driver's license, you need to love Seeger. So that's Seeger. Live Bullet, right? 76, like that one kicks ass. Bob and the Wailers Live 75. That was another one that was really going back and forth on having on the 15. I don't know, how many was that? I think I did 3 or 4. Bill Withers live at Carnegie Hall. Sam Cooke live at Harlem Square Club.
Yeah.
Sam Cooke is one of the best vocal artists ever to live. I can't even talk. I don't know. I love Sam Cooke so much. Yeah, I don't know. Sinatra at the Sands. That was another one I wrote down. It was like, you're looking at these lists of like best live albums ever.
Yeah.
And Sinatra was just, yeah, there's no words. I don't know. I don't have any words. I grew up listening to Sinatra because my mom was obsessed. My mom is obsessed with Sinatra, but there's just certain levels of Sinatra where his voice is like,
oh, through the song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm from New Jersey, so you can't help but love.
Yeah, you have to. That's to get your Jersey driver's license. You have to go and saying you love Sinatra, right?
Yeah, he's great, man.
Yeah.
This one made it for me. This Leonard Skinner
one. That's a good
one. One more
too.
for the road. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a good one too.
That's a really good one. And okay.
Yeah, this one's a tough one. There's just so many that a lot of people don't even like live albums. That's what's surprising to me, is that so many people aren't really into live albums, but
that's where it's at, man. Live music is the best.
Yeah, especially me being younger, and like a lot of these bands I wasn't old enough to ever see live, or like even a lot of the ones I mentioned, you guys weren't old enough to see live. So to listen to these and have that experience of like, if you can tune in and close your eyes and use your imagination and you're there, that's I love that. Yeah.
And just to hear these live shows, and because sometimes these guys were such exceptional musicians that they would stretch out songs longer than what you would hear in the studio level. So
like stuff that they'd record so that it could be put on the radio needed to be under 3 minutes before, and then you hear a live set and them playing it the way they wanted it to be recorded, but didn't because they needed a single. Like,
like the Freebird version on this goes a little bit longer, and it's some.
It's like 8 minutes.
Great. All right, so let's wrap this up, guys. This has been another great show. Thank you for all of your time. And not just the time for tonight, but the time that y'all dedicate to get these lists together, because it does take a while. It does take dedication to do this. It's not just putting things together and just talking. Everything we talk about means a lot to us. So thank you for that. Next week's show, I'm going to do another Thursday night show. And this one's going to be called a vinyl battle. It's a battle between 2 albums. Kiss Destroyer against Cheap Trick's debut album. So if y'all want to be a part of that, let me know. We'll go by track, and then we'll see who's got the better album to our for our opinions. And then we definitely have to talk about the future of Frank Zappa show, an unplugged show. The year 1972 is coming up for our top 10 for that year of 1972. So I'll keep y'all posted. So thanks a lot again, y'all. And thank you all for watching. I saw that you were out there, Johnny. Thank you so much for watching us and listening to us. And also Bob Rowe was out there commenting. A big shout out to Bob.
Howdy, Bob.
Hey, Brad, are you going to join us for the baseball podcast on Sunday? Will you be able to?
I'm planning on it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll see you Sunday. I will see you on Sunday. And Al, hopefully I'll be able to see you next week for the Kiss Cheap Trick thing.
Yeah, I'm in on that.
All right. And Kate, I will see you at the next one you want to do. Just to let me know.
That sounds good.
Okay. All right, guys, and thanks again for everybody for watching. Y'all mean a lot to us.
You.
Thanks, guys. Y'all take care.
Great show, guys.
Yeah, it was a great show, and we'll talk to y'all later on throughout the week and throughout the days.
Good night, puppy.
Yeah, that's Molly the metal dog.
Good night, Molly.
Good night,
Good
Molly.
night,
Molly.
Good night, Kate.
And
Good night.
and my dogs are laying down with
Fred.
my wife Molly right now.
Ah,
That's where my dogs are.
good night, wife.
Molly,
Molly.
Good night,
Molly the
John
metal
Boy.
wife.
Good night,
Good night.
John boy.
Good night, John Boy.
All right, guys.
Cheers, everybody.
Later.
Peace out.
Bye, guys.
Bye. I'm trying to